Spoon television. Spoon radio station. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Monrovia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Africa. Just to spoon you will know. If the children crying for starvation, just to spoon. You want to get a news update, my brother, to spoon. You want to know what is happening, Moravia, to spoon. Politicians want to make their decision, just to spoon. You want to know what happening in the ministry, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. You from Vonjama, Maryland, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. If you eat kepa, congratulate my brother, to spoon. You got a spoon TV, you got a spoon radio, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. Yeah, Rastafari. Kilibamba. What I want? Yes, I do, but today, Spoon TV. Yes, I do, but today. Spoon TV. Spoon. Spoon TV. Spoon entertainment.
From the CEO stand coming with the spoon. And your boy right at the South Bend. Charges on the beat.
On the spoon to get your information. To the spoon to be part of our discussion. Spoon television. Spoon radio station. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Monrovia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Africa. Just to spoon you will know. If the children crying for starvation, just to spoon. You want to get a news update, my brother, to spoon. You want to know what is happening, Moravia, to spoon. Politicians want to make their decision, just to spoon. You want to know what happening in the ministry, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. You from Vonjama, Maryland, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. If you eat kepa, congratulate my brother, to spoon. You got a spoon TV, you got a spoon radio, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. What? Yeah, Rastafari. Kilibamba. What I want? Yes, I do, but today, Spoon TV. Yes, I do, but today.
From the CEO stand coming with the spoon. And your boy right at the southern bend. Charges on the beat. To the spoon to get your information. To the spoon to be part of our discussion. Spoon television. Spoon radio station. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Monrovia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Africa. Tuto spoon, you will know. The children crying for starvation, just tuto spoon. You want to get a news update, my brother, tuto spoon. Okay, folks, I'd like to say welcome to all of you across the world. Welcome to another edition of the program Spoon Talk. Of course, the program is here live on Spoon 107.5 FM, live on Fabric 101.1 FM as well. We're live on TV Live on Facebook, Super TV Live, and Fabric TV Live. And on YouTube, we live at Spoon Talk Live. So welcome to another great edition of the program. My name is Nelson Colette. Of course, I see Dr. Richardson has joined us, and James Kudeflomo is here as well. Let me say good evening to you, Dr. Richardson, and good evening to James as well.
Nelson, hello, how you doing?
I'm okay. I'm doing well, and it's good to see you. And let me say good evening to James too.
Yeah, good evening to you, and good evening to our honorable doctor, who is always here. Good evening to everybody.
Good that you put it honorable to my name.
Anytime James counted, I just know the offer probably a different thing.
No,
That's it. Know your friend for true. I just start. His birthday over now, so he's ready to go back to being mischievous. Jay, how is it doing?
Come on also.
You passing?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have not started Fana. Fana is in February.
Oh, okay. All right, that's good. I'll tell your boss to post your grade so everybody can see your grade.
Okay.
It can be bothering everybody. Let everybody get to see your grade now. Now see how Monrovia, how's the sunshine?
Oh yeah, the place is good. We're in the dry season now, so we're getting to experience the real heat of the dry season. There hasn't been a rainfall here for some time now. I think close to or over a month we haven't experienced rainfall.
Wow.
But some communities are experiencing shortage of water. Yeah, so the regular places where people will get water, some of the hand pumps, some of the wells, some of these places will get dry, especially at this point. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the real dry season is here in Liberia. If you don't have AC, then try to get fan. If you don't get fan, you don't get AC, then it's a real hell of ice.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure people are enjoying the weather, and those people who are unable to get water, somehow God will provide for them. So yeah, but I was in Liberia. I was wondering about the rain. I think it only rained like one day for maybe less than 5 minutes. We're driving somewhere, and then the rain just came on the windshield. It was just less than 5 minutes. So I missed the plum season though. I think that was pineapple, oranges. I saw those. That's what's in season. I saw a lot, and coconut. A lot of coconuts.
Oh yeah. For the coconut, I think it's here all year round. I mean,
Oh
all
really?
year. Yeah, but for the plum, there are times. I think from March end of February, March, we start to see plum oil around the place. You having abundance. After some time, everything disappears. You don't
Yeah,
get to
that the only reason I will have to take a special trip to Liberia just to eat plum and cruiser.
see.
I how we used to call it cruiser, but it's cashew nuts, cashew. But it's like only thing I'll kind of. But anyway, Tomali, how you doing today?
Dr. Richardson, Nelson Colette, and good day. Is I'm doing well, and how are you guys doing at your end?
Yeah, doing well from my
Normally
end.
us.
Well, we're back for another edition of the Spoon Talk, and every day the news gets interesting, and it's like Dr. Richardson said yesterday. We usually we didn't know how we start, we don't know how we end. That's why I make our program so unique. Uh, But just we'll start just by asking Colette, you on the ground. I mean, give her an update about what's happening on the ground, before we can get anything going. Because I know we're monitoring a lot of news from the various sectors. The MDR, I think the instant crisis too.
Yeah,
And then also from 1 year from the Capitol building, I saw the vice president presiding today. She was presiding at
yeah,
the Senate, and also and what's happening in Liberia. Let us know.
yeah. Lots of things happening right now, and I think you rightly said it. The first one has to do with the back and forth within the MDR of Senator Prince Johnson, following the concerns he raised about, some promises made to them, Liberians, that did not come forward. Um there were concerns. Other people were speculating uh, surrounding the whether or not this MDR still has the support, or is still into this collaboration thing, and so the the vice chair for political affairs, Wilfred Bangura, had a press conference yesterday, and trying to clear the air that they still support, they have not come to a full conclusion of whether or not they putting out they take drawing their support from the coalition. But today we saw another press conference reiterating that in fact they no longer support this coalition thing. So there's a back and forth there. Today, Chief Siri Allen of the NPP, the chairman emeritus, made a very strong statement today uh, regarding members of the legislature, that he predicted that a lot of them would not go back. They will not be reelected because they have failed miserably, terming their failure on what he called bad laws that most of them have passed, and because of that, the people will not re-elect them. So a lot of them will not go back. That's his prediction. Yeah, so those are some of the happenings. Well, the representative of District 11 raised a very serious concern today at the level of the that as a House of Representative, concerning the amendment, some amendment that was done in the new elections law. Now he was a proponent of a bill seeking to have the people, folks who will be turning 18 before October, to actually be able to vote. So he was seeking some clarity at the House of Representatives today, since in fact the bill that there was some amendment that was done on that, as to where are they with respect to that, and so forth. So those are just a few of the many things happening.
Oh, okay. I know. We'll discuss it further. But in the meantime, James, what I'm gonna come to you now. Please get that PYJ interview on Daybreak Africa. Please get a cue for us. Yeah. But James, I know one thing I like about you. Wherever you are, you're always on top of the news wherever you are. So I know you got some scoop for happening in Liberia. So what's at your end?
And that did not happen today. Basically, today I was busy with something that I could not even get access my phone to that extent. Yeah. So I only follow what Spoon carry, what Nelson spoke of, and the rumors that running all around between ANC and the Unity Party. Uh, Now it is being spread in the air that Cummins and Boakai will be on the same ticket. You see, ALP people, I'm sorry, ANC. Some are saying no, we don't want it. You accuse the man of fingering document. You know the party people, most of them on Facebook, like why Cummins, why Cummins? Yeah, but besides that, I never even had a chance to attend or to follow session to that.
Okay. Dr. Richardson, and then news from your end.
No, busy day today. I'm just ready to listen and add my thoughts about the pressing news from Liberia. But I'm good. I'm waiting to hear the video that you asked that we're supposed to play yesterday, but we couldn't play it.
Okay, so James, you ready? You can let us play the PYJ interview.
Okay.
But before, while she's looking, James, I just want to welcome all of our viewers today. It's important that you are here today to add to the conversation. We appreciate you being here. So when you're ready, just let us know. You ready, James, or you still looking?
Yeah, when you are through, let me know. I'll play.
Okay. Yeah, just a few of you are welcome today. Like Alexander Masali, Masali is watching from Kidman County. Moses G. Bonner is watching. Gablali Pak. That need too hard for me to pronounce. I'm not even going to try, but welcome. You said the two leaders are great. Welcome. Edwin Kolenke is from Philadelphia. He said. Nathaniel Williams is watching, and I want to say all of you who are here watching us today, we want to welcome you if you're watching by social media, by radio, by TV. We're happy to have you on Spoon today. So go ahead, James. Good day.
Okay.
As the kingmaker in presidential elections, has given a new reason why he will not support the re-election of President George Weah. Longtime Senator Prince Johnson says in the 6 years since he was elected, Weah has failed to bring investors to Liberia, thereby worsening the country's unemployment rate. Supporters say the president has focused on the country's development through his government's pro-poor agenda for prosperity and development. The new development comes after Johnson says a high-powered delegation from the ruling CDC urged his party not to field a presidential candidate because it will hurt President Weah's re-election chances. Johnson tells me the delegation included several top ministers, including those from the Ministries of Finance, Labor, a former Minister of State, and the chair of the ruling CDC.
We have a candidate, standard bearer, to run directly. And they are saying, no, we should not run. We should support Mr. Weah. If we do, it's an affront to Mr. Weah and all kinds of talks. And we say we are a party registered under the law of this country. And our support from 2017, October, it ended October 2022. So there is no more document binding. And during this 6-year period this year, we have observed that what we expected in the past is not what we see on the ground. We believe, as one of the Liberian people believe, that being the world best, European best, African best, all the best, that his election would have attracted investors to Liberia to create jobs and alleviate the suffering of our people through the investment and employment. But since his election, the world has abandoned us in the sense that no investors are coming, and what we're doing in the country is just ratifying loan agreements all the time, and we cannot build a country based on loan and internal revenue within the private sector. So things are very difficult in the country. The unemployment rate is escalating. So there's nothing encouraging to give Mr. Weah second term. That's why we decided to quit.
Senator, help me. You said a delegation from the ruling CDC came to see you. Who are the members on that delegation?
Well, the Minister of Finance, the former Minister of State Presidential Affairs, the chairperson of the CDC, Mr. Neba Malu, Professor Wilson Tata, EPA Director General, the Minister of Labor, Minister Charles Gibson, and many others.
Senator, how do you say there's no development? As recent as I think earlier this month, the president dedicated a hospital. I see pictures of roads being paved.
Jimmy, that's a different thing. I'm not saying there is no development. There are some level of development. I am saying the high rate of unemployment is a major concern. When investors are not on the ground to provide jobs, that we are living the sufferings. We're talking about jobs for our people. The jobs, we put food on the table. The jobs, we have our people, those university graduates every year. When they graduate, no job, their degrees are hanging on the walls, and they continue to increase the number of unemployment.
Let me ask you, Senator, in the past you have supported President Weah. And this is the reason why I think people accused you of selling your NIBA vote for money. Some people are saying you are making all this noise because now you want the government to give you more money.
That's what I hear people say, but they are on the wrong side of history. That is not my nature. I don't know of any market where they sell votes. They say these things, but it's not true. If I form an alliance with you, I collaborate with you, and I find incompatibility, coupled with that, the agreement expires, I can no longer renew that agreement.
But why not support one of the parties? I mean, how certain are you that your candidate might win?
We are open to all parties. We are working with ANC. We are working with the Unity Party. We are working with the newly certificated party, EFCC. All of the parties on the ground, we are working with them. So one party cannot win with all the other in the country. So you need all hands on deck.
Senator Johnson, it is always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much. Happy New Year again to you.
Happy New Year. God bless you, Jimmy.
That was Senator Prince Johnson of Liberia speaking with us from the capital, Monrovia.
Wow. Well, where's James? James left. But guys, you just heard Senator Prince Johnson. He said a lot. A lot was said in that interview. First of all, let me just give some perspective. Senator Johnson, as you are aware, he's president on a U.S. sanction. He was imposed sanction. He's on sanction by the U.S. government, and for what he was, according to the U.S. sanction, he was accused of playing pay for play, selling votes, which is undermining our democratic process. But then he's also saying that, in other words, I'm on a sanction for you. They accuse me of selling votes and so forth, but the same government that they accuse me of selling, of playing games with, they are the ones coming to me at night. He said the ministers of foreign affairs, the minister of finance, the minister of labor, former minister of state who is also on a sanction, the head of the environmental protection agency, and they're all coming to him, and the maritime commissioner coming to him to talk to him about supporting the CDC government. And so he's putting it on notice. I hope they're aware. He's putting it on notice that, look, America, you're saying you're sanctioning me for this, but you see that one of the government's coming to me to ask me to help them still, and you're saying you're sanctioned. No one should do business with me at all. But yeah, what's happening? And so he's making these revelations to the international community. VOA, is worldwide. So I don't know about Brother Richardson, maybe you want to give your perspective on this interview. Then we'll go to Nelson.
Yeah, Timothy, I was taking notes as the interview was going on, and he said a few things. First, I think all of us know that he said that he's not supporting the Weah government anymore. Reportedly, or as we all know, there was an agreement, he said, that they had that ended 2022. And in that agreement, there were certain things that he expected from the Weah government. Perhaps, there was exchange in terms of, Prince Johnson's party was going to take a certain amount of offices, maybe ministerial offices, maybe offices headed by, maybe his party was going to head agencies. And according to Prince Johnson, that did not materialize. That did not happen. It's interesting that perhaps he spoke about this before. This is where maybe I would need some clarity about. Maybe Timothy, you can tell us later on, or Colette, you can tell us. It's like now he's been very strong about his expectations that weren't met. He was there for all these many years. Perhaps he was strong, but we are hearing it now. So that is just my questions. Like, I wish he would have argued earlier, like, from the beginning of the government, to say, listen, I'm sounding the alarm. You promised me this, and we're not getting it. I think it's a good thing for him to advocate for his people. He was elected by the people. He was elected, and Nima is a stronghold in terms of numerical vote. So I think it's a good thing. He said that one thing he said, we're our best, all the best did not attract investors to the country. And his main issue was job creation. They asked and said, well, the president bring in some level of development into the country. Like, he just cut the ribbon for a new hospital. And he said, I'm not saying that there are not levels of development, but I'm saying we want investors to come into the country so that people can find jobs, so they can be able to put food on the table. You can have hospitals, but the hospital might employ a certain amount of people, but at the end of the day, they're not providing food on the table. And then he said the country is ran by loan. And I'll stop there because I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. Go ahead, Tamale.
Okay, Nelson, yeah, you can. You also go. You can also chime in too.
Yeah. For me, I think the senator is sending a strong message. The call is a very good one, especially that a lot of people look at him to be the political godfather of Niba County. But since he started making this call quite recently, there has been so many concerns as to why now. At some point, we know that in the 2017 election, at some point, he became very controversial. He made some very strong statements. At a point, it appears as though he wasn't even supporting the ruling government now. And then after some time, we saw that, yes, this support back to the government. But after 5 years, the 22nd of January made this government 5 years. So the concern now that most people are raising is why now? Why is he speaking out now? Though there are others who think that it's never too late to talk about the right things, but this is just a concern, and I think he could be doing this from the background that number one, he wants to maybe again have his voice heard, especially now that we're moving very close to election. He wants the attention to go back to this Senator Johnson that a lot of people know to be very controversial, but at the same time, um, I think this call would be it will be a difficult one, to really get the kind of result he's trying to get out from this call, especially at this particular time.
Okay, Rarishi, you can continue.
Yeah. And I think just to buttress what you're saying, Timon, the interesting thing about it, he is saying that people are actually begging him for the support, and he named some top people. He said, like the former presidential minister was there, the chair of the CDC party. They are all actually going to his home and begging him to please support this government, which I thought was also interesting, that they want his support. And it sounds like he's not getting support for the Nima people. That's what I think seems to be paramount here. Support important, an issue that he's not getting support for the Nima people. But on the other hand, he said he's talking to all parties, which I think is also interesting. He's also talking to, a unity party. I would assume he's talking to ANC. So it's actually interesting. Well, let's see how it plays out. I'm willing to see how this plays out. What do you think, Timberlane?
Well, it says that he's unsanctioned, and I don't know when the U.S. government says they want you to do business with him. I don't know who really they're referring to, but if he says he's talking to the ANC, talking to UP and other parties, then people wonder. the parties that are involved that he's naming, they should come up and really declare, because right now the MDR they have a new political leader who is Senator Jeremiah Cohen. They have a new leadership. So if they are in discussion with any party, maybe he's referring to that leadership, but the leadership of the party. Okay, but in this other on this other issue, he was specific. He says he's personally the officials of government personally went to him. He didn't say they went to Jeremiah Cohen or to the leadership of the party. They came to him. He said the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kameyam, Finance Minister Tuer, former Minister of State McGill, the Environmental Protection and Head Wilson Tape, Labor Minister Charles Gibson, the Commissioner of the Maritime, Eugene Nangbe, and these guys going to him. They are officials of government. They are active officials of government going to him to talk to him about helping them. That's room of concern, and we've been hearing and through the grapevines that the U.S. government, they are concerned. They have been expressing concern. Whispers coming that they feel that the sanctions they impose has been undermined by the Weah administration. They mean whispers we've been hearing, and we don't know. Perhaps sooner or later we may hear some official position from the U.S. government concerning the sanction imposed or so. But I think the Weah administration should be very careful. If they must deal with MDR, they should deal with them through the channels of their leadership. Senator Cohen is now on sanction. The party has have a new leadership, but instead of dealing with Prince Johnson directly, he's putting it on notice. And just as we're on the show, I just received a statement from PYJ too. I think he on Bangura, the comment Bangura made. Wilfred Bangura, he's a former chairman of Prince Johnson's party, but he's deputy minister of commerce, so he's protecting his job. So that's why he came out and tried to attack the party, Prince Johnson, and so forth. But they're in a serious problem, and so. But James, good day. I want to hear your take on it.
I think basically what I heard from PYJ is like, even those who said they should crucify PYJ, allegedly they are going in the dark to seek his support. That has to do with the Unity Party and the ANC. Because if we go by the ratio, the Unity Party and the ANC have always accused the Weah's administration of doing business with PYJ, and he's now coming up allegedly to say they are negotiating with him in the dark. I don't know where we are heading. If you can go and talk about a man and say the man a war criminal, he this, he that, he should not be trusted, and the government is doing pay to play with, and at the same time, when the man and the government, or the government that you accuse him of, he's not willing to work with that government, and then you turn around and do a U-turn to go and negotiate with him, I think it's not good for our country. We should practice what we preach, not preach and do the opposite of what we preach. So I think let's forget about it. We are the president's own support. It is national. We've been seeing it. They've been going, head to head with it. But why? Why the opposition? The two major opposition parties. Why are they going allegedly? Why are they going in the dark to negotiate with PYJ? That should be a concern for everybody.
But let us be clear now. PYJ, he was very specific. He did not say he didn't call the names of the opposition people that went to him. What did he want to say? He said we are talking. But for the government, he was specific. He called the names of official government that have met him. He didn't say Joseph Boyka or maybe UP official met him or ANC people met him. He was specific. He said we are talking to these parties. But for the government, he was specific. He called the names of people that met him. So we do not know which one the group from the parties met him, like from ANC or UP. He said we are in talk with them. So that's we need to clarify that with them. They found out whether they're in talk with him. But he was clear with the government. So
that is why I said allegedly for him. That is his own side. So we hope that both ANC and Unity Party will come out to speak against it. I trust the ANC and the Unity Party when it comes to allegations against them. They are very quick in coming out. Though he did not call a specific person's name for any of the parties, but he said they are in conversation. So we hope they will come out to say, yes, we are in conversation, or no, we can't remember getting in conversation with PYJ or his party.
Well, I think the government, the CDC, the coalition, they should definitely be in touch. They could be in touch with Molu and his officials. Molu, that's no problem with that. I think with Cohen and so forth. But PYJ to come in the public and on international network and accuse them of coming to him, talking to him, I think there's a room for concern that he's on a sanction and they're trying to quote him. And because at the end of the day, James Butter was clear in the interview. He said, "It's talking about money." He was clear. He said that money. People are saying that you want money. That's why you're doing all of this for. And you see, so everybody know that's why they're talking about what much he can do. If anything, he has to negotiate for jobs for his party and so forth. But the interview and people know that's all, but because of the all issue about money involved, that's why they are. Yeah, that's why he's making all of these raising this concern. But I think there's a serious discussion. Down today, we heard the youth wing of the party condemn Bangura. That's Colette. What did the youth of MDR? What are they saying?
Yeah, so they actually distance themselves from that statement. Let's say the statement made by the vice chair for political affairs, Wilfred Bangura. So following all of what has been happening, Bangura recently had a press conference where he said the party has not reached that decision to fully withdraw support from the coalition. So the youth league was to the, in fact, it was the spokesperson, the spokesman for the party, Matadi, who addressed the conference today. And he said that Bangura is on his own. As far as they know, they have withdrawn their support from the Coalition for Democratic Change based on several reasons. He talked about the failure, like there's some of what the senator mentioned in the interview, the failure of the current government to live up to some of the promises and so forth. So he said they have withdrawn their support officially, contrary to what Wilfred Bangura stated at his own press conference. So I'm beginning to see something like two factions maybe creeping gradually here within the MDR.
Before I go to that, the last time I mentioned on the show, I said that Senator Johnson I've seen him to be consistent and inconsistent. I know he wasn't happy with that characterization I made about him. He said he's not inconsistent, but when it comes to him and our politics, I'm very, very careful. I always like to take precaution because I've seen this tip before. I'm not. This tip he issued that just came up from him and a few minutes ago. I mean, you will read it and say, "Oh, President Johnson is finished with CDC. He's done. He's done." When if you see the statement, you say he's done with CDC. It's over. Like this is very strong. But a few weeks from now, a month from now, next thing you get to say, they are signing an agreement. They are pledging support. So that's why I'm very careful when it comes to that. I will not tell anybody that the MDR and PRJ won't support the CDC. Don't just take it and say it's over. No, but that's just my thoughts, my own observation about it, though, because of the past. But the reason, what do you think?
I think earlier on you were making an important point about sanctions, the United States sanction on PYJ. There's this important thing that I believe that all parties who are interacting with PYJ or his political, well, actually PYJ, need to just seek clarity about. Okay, because when it comes to sanction, the United States do not joke with that, and do not mince the words. They're on the one hand telling us that we're a sovereign country, we can elect who we want to elect, but on the one hand, they are telling us, on the other hand, they are telling us that if you elect somebody and then you transact business. Now, what is business? Anytime you exchange goods, you offer service, you know, any exchange, that's conversation perhaps about business plan or sell goods. That could be, you could get yourself questioned by the U.S. So I think that all parties that are engaging PYJ should seek clarity. I really would. I would go to the political officer at the United States Embassy and ask, can you please give us some of the list of things that you think would be under the umbrella of transacting businesses with PYJ? And are we in any danger? Because you just never know. I think, and then, you will want a representative, or you want a leader that would represent you worldwide, not only regionally, So right now, if you say you're transacting business with the United States, like if you came to purchase party items, maybe you can purchase from China or you can purchase from the Middle East. But if you purchase it from the United States, you'll be transacting business with the United States. And that would put your party in the limelight of being questioned. So I think, again, that's something that I want all parties to just make sure that they seek clarity on. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but it's just something that comes to my mind all of the time when it comes to these sanctioned individuals in the country. I wouldn't take anybody who's sanctioned the country for a joke.
James Goode, I don't know how long you've been following Prince Johnson's political activities and with his party. But I want you to weigh in. What the outcome? What do you think will be the outcome of this whole MDR CDC president saga is on right now? When I'm talking from 2005, 2011, 17, and then to 2017. 2017, yes. Wayne, how do you think this will be the outcome of this?
I believe that we are not going to see the PYJ of 2005, 2011, and partly 2017 because of the United States action. Let's go back to 2011. 2011, everyone thought PYJ was going to support the opposition then, and he was in for them. But after a meeting with the president, the former president, PYJ had to change. But after that, what happened? We went to 2017. Before 2017, PYJ organized opposition meetings where he said the opposition should come together to contest against the then government, the Unity Party administration. And he was able to bring all of the major opposition parties then, including the CDC, together. They had a meeting in Lima. And that meeting, their discussions did not go the way they planned. At the end of the day, PYJ, he still maintained the meeting he had in Lima by linking up with President George Manuel Weah and the ANC back off, the Liberty back off, with several other parties they back off. But PYJ still maintained that to support Weah's administration along with the NPP and Talos party. So that went on. And I know there were agreements that came out between the various parties that went there. And he also talked about job opportunities should be given to his people. That did not work out. What happened? The United States government from 2005 to 2017 or maybe 2022, they zoom in on PYJ and they finalized that PYJ was doing pay to play, meaning all of the supports that he gave Ellen Johnson Sirleaf yesterday, they were all pay to play. He got reward. That is one of the major reasons why today PYJ is facing what he's facing. They said he got reward. We come to 2017. the United States government still believes that PYJ still did what he did in 2017 by supporting WIA because he got reward. So we are in 2023. PYJ now is saying, I am not who you think I am. So since you believe that I did pay to play yesterday, this time around, I'm not going to do pay to play. So what's going to happen? I'm going to come up with the same agreement I signed with WIA to say you should give my people a job, and WIA did not give it, so I will back up. I believe, and I may be wrong tomorrow, but I believe that PYJ or his party may likely not support WIA during the first round. May likely not support WIA during the first round, looking at what PYJ is going through now and the future of Jeremiah Kuhn. Senator Kuhn has a very brighter future. He has hope, maybe of becoming president. PYJ, the last time I was in session, he said this coming election will be his last public election. It will be his last public election for him to contest. He said if he wins this election, he will resign at the end of the day. He will honorably retire when his tenure is over. He will honorably retire and then give way to other people. So maybe PYJ has just one competitive election to contest, and after that, he relax home and enjoy his retirement benefit. So Senator Kuhn would not want to, gamble his future, his political future, because he wants to please a PYJ or a CDC administration. So I believe that PYJ may likely not support, but again, that can turn around. It is politics. And one thing CDC is good at, I cover CDC for a very long period of time. CDC is good at bringing confusion in parties. They have the master planners. You have Representative Gray. You have Jefferson Koji. They are people who can, they can program political parties, supporters to split among themselves. Let's watch and see. You're going to see more breakaway factions within PYJ's party. This is going to happen by, empowering them with press conferences. Even students groups in Liberia, they do these things to them. They will empower them. You will see them coming out to say, I'm this, independent, that, independent, that one. So that is going to happen more in the PYJ party. But at the end of the day, Senator Johnson, he's not a political leader, but he still has the final say in our party. So I believe that the CDC will use the financial power, the mighty of the money. They will use that, and breakaway factions will come. People will speak against PYJ. They will declare their support for CDC. Don't be surprised to see independent MDR declare support for CDC 2023. That may likely happen. Yeah.
But you made some points. But this election year, and this election is special, very, very, very important to CDC. It's not ordinary like the past election. CDC is seeking re-election. So they're seeking the president is seeking re-election. You want to be president for six more years. So they have to tread very carefully, because any mistake, they may give the loss of presidency to the opposition. So they have to tread carefully. That's why they make sure that they cross their T's and dot their I's, because this is not an election where they can afford to divide a party that's supporting them. They want to support from a party, because Jeremiah Kuhn and Prince Johnson, they are two heavyweights in NEMA. And if they come to form an independent MDR, the thing is that do they have the new independent party where they have the partisans behind them? We don't know about that. But
that's the point.
Now, listen, I'll send you something. I want you to read that statement from Prince Johnson, coming from the Prince Johnson side. Maybe you'll give us more light, and after that statement, we'll find out whether Prince Johnson is really we should take him serious at this time. Well, whether you will take him serious at this time. Thank you.
Yes, I just saw it, Timberland. Let me just read it. It says, Prince Y. Johnson writes, special statement to our supporters. So he's speaking to his supporter now. The political battle has begun, and on the battlefield, threatening words will come. Betrayal will come too. And the worst of all, an abusive language will also be heard. So he's saying that they will betray him, they will threaten him, they will abuse each other. That's part of the whole political, plan here. But don't panic. He asking his supporters, don't panic about those words you will hear and the betrayal that will come. Let us continue to believe in ourselves and face the fight for victory. So he said, despite the abuse, the betrayal, the worst words that you hear, you mustn't panic. All your supporters of Prince Johnson, you should face the battle for victory. The CDC-led government has over 7.5 million for the people of Nima County. He's 7.5 million. He's saying that the CDC government has for Nima County, and we, as county officials, over the past 5 years, have been sincerely approaching this government with all diplomatic means to pay our money so we can be able to pay our children's school fees and undertake major projects that would benefit everyone in the county. But they have deliberately refused to give what belongs to Nima and her children. Prince Johnson saying that the government, they've been talking to the government, they're tired talking now. They were trying diplomatic means, but the government has just refused to give them what is theirs. Give people what is theirs. This government also refused to give top governmental positions we previously discussed and agreed to be given to our sons and daughters of Nimba, like top ministerial positions, managing directors, including ambassadorial positions. So the meaning with the money that was supposed to go to Nimba, the 7.5 million, the meaning with Prince Johnson saying that the meaning then with government positions, being head of the ministry, being ambassador, and all of that. Now that we have withdrawn our political support, he said now they have withdrawn their political support from CDC and have decided to take one of our sons. Oh, he said they decided to take one of their sons to contest for presidency. They are now threatening our lives. So I don't know who threatening him, but he said maybe the CDC people threatening our lives. They are calling us all kinds of names, putting our innocent children against all of us because of petty cash that cannot feed them. But we are not afraid and will never be carried away by that because Nima County deserves better for her children. He's saying you will not be afraid of the government here. The government is going about begging us in a corner, or he said at night time the people can go beg them in the corner for our support. But at the same time, they have plucked people against us on the radio and in public spaces, insulting us and threatening our lives. And they still want us to find common ground. We are no longer stupid. Oh, he said they're not stupid there to accept such a game from them again. Meanwhile, we have heard in the news that Minister Wilfred Bangura and other pledged the MDR political party support to the CDC. So he's saying here now that Mr. Wilfred Bangura and others pledged their support to CDC re-election come October of this year. Okay, and that's fine, he says, but Minister Wilfred Bangura is not the official spokesman for the MDR political party. His statement represents himself and those that believe in him, but not the party. So Prince Johnson saying the statement from Wilfred Bangura that's also breeze that news, that man don't speak for the party, so he want everybody to know that. So the party has spoken about it already. The youth wing has also addressed their concern about this statement. The executive committee will soon be meeting to discuss and take serious action against Mr. Bangura, including those involved in betrayal and undermining their party decision. So he said they're not resting. They're going to have a meeting and they will make sure that they take action against Mr. Bangura and all of those who are threatening and undermining them. We remain independent as a political institution, and our leader will contest for the presidency. He keep on saying this leader will contest. The leader, maybe that Jeremiah Kuhn, we don't know yet, but we'll find out. And we are very committed to our decision. We will never register as a political party to be a bad boy. You will not be a bad boy to another political party. You don't care who that political party, whether a CDC, you will not be a bad boy. We register as a political party to produce a president that will see the needs of every Liberian. May God bless every one of you. From Prince Y. Johnson.
Wow. Welcome, former Minister Fagon. But you guys just heard a statement from Prince Johnson. But before I go around, let me say this though. Prince Johnson just you should not forget now. The CDC government headed by President Weah is a legitimate Liberian government, and they are at the advantage because from what I'm getting here, President Weah is coming to the States in March. Expected to the U.S. in March, and I'm also hearing that there's one of the most popular special forces guy, former special forces guy from the MPFL days. He's in the MPP. I'm hearing that they may put him against Prince Johnson in Nimba. The guy called Duapo Megazon. Duapo Megazon. He's popular there too, and so Prince Johnson got to be careful how he really push the government now, push the button, because he can never tell. They could. I mean, they have the advantage to do anything. They can stay over to the international community, wherever the case. So I don't know, but I want you guys to chime in and give your perspectives about what you just heard. Colette, then we'll go to Eugene. Direction, we'll close on that.
Okay. Yeah, I think the statement there is something that points to the fact that the senator remains that person who plays the regular card. What we've seen over the time is that Senator Johnson has always played the card in such a way that he lands in a position where the power will end up. Whichever party wins, of course, at the end of the day, he plays the card in a way where he will settle down. He will have a seat at that particular spot where the gavel will land. So, listening to that statement from the senator, I think two things are going to happen here. The first thing is that Senator Johnson will, first of all, experience, because what we're getting from the Minister Bangura is that, first of all, he is an assistant minister in this government. From his press conference yesterday, it indicates that with all of what the founding father of the party have been saying, he still holds on to this CDC thing. To some extent, he still has some sort of support to that side. Well, today a statement came from the youth wing. They had their own thing to say. But at the end of the day, two things. It's either Senator Prince Johnson accept some of the offers that are coming from behind the scenes that he've already always talked, he've already admitted that he has already talked about, or if he rejects, then it means that the card is going to, is going to turn the other way. We're going to see some sort of breakaway. Some of the very people in the MDR who are his confidants will either walk away. Some of those people will go against him because of the way things will play out. So at the end of the day, even the CDC will have to look at this, because the senator is one person who will observe all sides. Number one, he was a key actor in the civil unrest we had in this country. When he plays his card, he wants to make sure that he ends up to a point where the power will go so that he gets the protection. So if we have a situation at this time where the senator is not going the CDC way, now it's still so early to predict whether or not he will go that way. But if it gets to the dying minute of time and he still remains on this path that no support to the CDC and XYZ, even after the first round, they're going for a second round, no support to the CDC, it will actually be a bad sign from what we've seen over the years, because that would mean that perhaps he have seen from his own reading of things that the CDC may not make it. And then the other way is that if he does not agree to some of the offers that are coming from behind the scenes, he will have some battles to fight within his own MDR.
Okay, Dr. Bridgerton, before we go to Eugene.
Just reading their write up from Prince Johnson, it just tells you the nature of politics, and especially, politics all around the world can be very deceiving and dangerous. But in Liberia, it seems to be at an interesting level. He started by saying how people are threatening him, they are betraying him, they are being abusive. Now you got to ask, is the abusive coming from inside or outside? It sounds like it's coming from both areas. And then he went on, he asked for the people money, the $7.5 million. And I think that's a key conversation for Prince Johnson to have on behalf of the Nema people, regardless of if you like him or hate him. But what happened to the $7.5 million is myself, I want to know. And I think the people of Liberia would like to know, because that money could have developed Nema. It could have done something in terms of schooling, in terms of creating businesses for the people of Nema, in terms of putting bread and butter on the table. And then Prince Johnson went on to say, listen, are we Nema people are we not smart than the rest of the Liberians? How can you take all the jobs in Liberia and you give it to maybe one group of people, Southeasterner, or maybe you have to be partisan in CDC political party in order to get a job? What happened to at least awarding the Nema people ministerial job, ambassador job? So he asked all of those strategic questions. It's not uncommon sometimes for political parties, like for example, our Minister of Transportation here in the United States, he came, he ran against Biden offered him a position. So those kind of negotiations are not so uncommon for them to happen. And lastly, he said he wants a Nema president. That's what he's asking for. And Tiawan Gongo is running. Is he speaking for all the Nibaians? I guess he's asked, it's about time that we have a Nema president. It's about time the Liberian people think about having a Nema president, despite what happened to Jackson Hebdo. But we have to wait and see. This is a interesting times in Liberian politics. Interesting times. We'll wait and see how it plays out.
Deputy former Minister Fagon, we've been discussing about the issue about about Prince Johnson interview on Daybreak Africa VOA yesterday, and also the reaction from his former Secretary General Wilfred Bangura, then a counter reaction from the youth wing of the MDR, and then the statement he issued today again, Prince Johnson re-echoing his position that they are done with the CDC and the agreement ended in October of last year, and he's also now claiming that they have been threatened and so forth. Well, I mean, just on your way in, what's your perspective about what's going on in the MDR and PYG? He also said the interview, as I said earlier.
I think I have a diverse view, totally different from you and Brother Colette. The reason why I say so, because the politics of fear no longer works. The politics of fear is where you don't have a record to run on and you threaten your opponent. That's the politics of fear. You can look it up. And it's not going to work. To Brother Colette's point, and I say so because you said, they could turn him over. Prince Johnson is not the guy you just go and pick up, man. That's a man that ran, that commanded one of the most powerful armies in our Civil War, one that defeated Charles Taylor literally, ran into Monrovia, captured Doe. When you said that, I'm thinking that I wonder he's talking about Field Marshal General Prince Yelube Johnson. He's 70 years old, but he commanded several battalions. And you're just going to go pick him up. What will you use? The U.S. Marines, ECOWAS forces, or our 2,000 strong AFL? One time I heard Prince Johnson say that he said, we're still fighting Kuwampa's war. Let them not forget. So if anybody touched me, they touched the Nimba people. And when I heard that statement from him, it was profound. Because when nobody could stand for the Nimba people, he organized them to stand, and he has commanded them since to this day. And getting to Colette's point about Wilfred Bangura, in politics, we normally ask about the political capital, Tomali. You know what I'm talking about. Wilfred Bangura, how many people did he bring to the MDR? And if he's leaving, how many partisans of the MDR can he take with him? He's not Jefferson Koji, leader of the Youth League of the CDC for I don't know how many years. You know what I'm talking about. Bangura leaves. Bangura leaves. Maybe he will just leave with his family and his 3 friends. That would total a number of 5. What Bangura is trying to do is to say, PYJ, the way you're going, I'm about to lose my job. And PYJ is not looking at him. You're losing your job, but the Nimba people are losing 7.5 million. You're losing your job, but your job and that of Kopakra and maybe 3 or 4 other persons does not equate to the party. For example, the assistant minister at Ministry of Information, Jurasano, he's from Nimba, but he's from the Liberty Party. So if you want to count people from Nimba, Prince Johnson's point is, how many of them are from the MDR? So what I can say is this. Prince Johnson have sensed something. Prince Johnson is a military general. And anybody who's studied war, Tomali, they have strategies. So Prince Johnson have sat down and have seen the wind blow. In the special elections, CDC was flocked. In the by-election, CDC was flocked all over the place. So what does CDC do? We're not going to put a candidate in Nimba. We're not going to put a candidate in Pong. We're not going to put a candidate in Cape Mount. We're not going to put a candidate in Lofa. You are the ruling party. You got money. And so if you say you're not putting candidate anywhere, what's going on? So then the midterm came and CDC was robbed and raped. So I can say to you, what PYJ, if anybody thinks that PYJ is joking, follow all of PYJ's statement as Dr. Francine read. In all of his statement, he makes mention of a threat. He makes mention of the fact that when he wants to talk to them, they say, you know, we've been protecting you. Prince Johnson have said nothing can hurt him more than when those guys tell him, you know, we've been protecting you. And it hurts his feeling. So to close on that note, I would say that Prince Johnson is talking to the likes of Electoral and James Barney. They all have the same case. And I know when you finish with the topic, you will touch on it. The cases are not different. They have the same case with the CDC. Tyler said, I'm not signing. Since last October, you took what I was supposed to be senator, you supported your friend Snow over me, and you ignored me. You didn't call me. You didn't talk to me. You didn't give me nothing. James Barney said, I ran against Dan Marias. You and the VP supported Dan Marias. Y'all caught a speech from me. Prince Johnson says the same, and all of them ask one question. What's the guarantee if we give you your final sis, you will not do the same to us? Tomali, trust can only be earned. No amount of money can buy it. And if he puts money on the table, just like all the other people treated us for the special, the buy, and the midterm elections, in fact, Prince Johnson are waiting for the money. They will eat it and they will do what they have to do because the trust is not there.
Wow. We'll have a last discussion before we go to the next topic. But you know, you said some important things though. Like I said earlier when the show started, I said.
And quickly, let me quickly before you say something, I beg you. How can I be in a coalition with you, brother? Then I'm supposed to take over Bumi. I'm the political leader. You choose another man over me and openly support him. That's Tyler case now. How can I be a leader in the NPP and in a coalition with you? Tell Mariah is a different man, but you support him over me. You see where the problem coming from? That's it.
Yes, like I said, the CDC they find themselves in a very tough spot for this re-election because of promises they made to those who helped them to ascend to power. That's why up to now, since October, they should have signed the coalition document should have been signed. Since October last year, they should have signed with the NPP and the LPDP.
Yes.
But because of the things that the guys claim that they weren't treated fairly in the first term, so they have been very, very skeptical about going to the agreement and making demands. But the major person in this whole thing is PYJs and the MDR, because everyone knows PYJ he helped President Salif twice during her tenure in office. And like I said, in 2011, we counted on him. And then when he told us that he wasn't going to support us again, he went to support President Salif re-election. CDC just gave it up. And we saw the role he played in 2017. And now, that's why you think the CDC, according to his VOA interview, that's why you see they're sending top people to him, sending top ministers of government to him. Imagine they send the Minister of Finance to him. I mean, the Minister, the head of the Maritime, the Labor, the Foreign Affairs. All these top people went to him. That shows how important it is. And he also told us that the president appealed to him to stop Jeremiah Kun from running. So it shows that they really, it's a serious thing, and they perhaps have some. They are somehow troubled that and concerned that if Jeremiah Kun run, Taiwan is running, the votes will be divided. Nima vote will be divided. And then number two, depending on who former Vice President Boyka would pick as his running mate or Cummings, everybody's eyeing Nima. If they're coming from Nima votes will be split. And in a runoff, who will go to runoff, and it will be troubling. So it's concerning though. But just for also end on this Prince Johnson topic, my question is, Dr. Richardson, looking at the past and the present, how do you think this will end? I mean, what's the prediction? How it will end? Do you think after all is said and done, perhaps, okay, listen to me carefully. Do you think the government will, if they use a fear tactic on Prince Johnson, if they scare him that if you don't come to us, we'll turn you over, or we'll put somebody against you to run against you in Nima? Do you think with all that in the box, all that in the package, you think Prince Johnson will be scared and maybe he may come to understand and say, let's go to the table and sign? Jeremiah can go and sign with them. What do you think? How do you think it will end? How do you think? What your prediction how it will end?
Before Dr. Francis comes, before I forget this thought, quickly 30 seconds. We shouldn't forget why PYJ was sanctioned. PYJ was sanctioned for pay-to-play, remember?
Yeah.
So the people that sent it to PYJ believe that my early time didn't sanction PYJ, right? But at Jowia turn, well, highly nothing came from there. But the people who I believe now, I think, carried a small team. Then at the same people now, they send it. So they can say again, PYJ pay to play. We got to open our eyeball here. So that's why PYJ say, hey, now go back. Because that's the reason he was sanctioned, for pay to play. And now they're going to him in the night, acting like we do that. He don't trust him. That trust is not there. Dr. Francis?
Dr. Francis, go ahead.
Yeah, someone to answer your question, I think we kind of have to look at the current strength of PYJ in Liberia among the Nima people, and to also look at the sanction. Did it actually just only focus on play to play, or were there some humanitarian accusations underneath this whole sanction? You remember now they were looking at how involved he was in the war as well. There's a humanitarian part of that sanction. So I'll look at the strength of PYJ as it relates to the war years. You know, he stood up for the Nima people. Is he still strong among the Nima people? Those would be questions that I would ask. I mean, some parts of the Nima people can say no, our eyes are open, and some parts of the Nima can say yes. He still has strength amongst in certain 8 parts of Nima. Number two, remember now we had the election in Nima County, who Prince Johnson supported did not win. Okay, that could also, and then I mean he came back and said, "Oh, you are playing now." He cost you are playing some kind of game or whatever or whatever. But that remains a question to be asked. Did he pull somebody's hand up and that person did not win? Historically, when Prince Johnson did that, you won. So again, that goes back to it. Does he still have the same kind of strength that he had during the war year when the Lima people felt threatened by the establishment and they needed a leader? Dissension. I think dissension diminished his strength to a certain degree. I think the fact that he got dissension over his head, I think he's been very careful in terms of how he engaged and interact with people. So I think to answer your question, Timothy, we have to kind of seriously assess the strength of PYJ. Is he still as strong in Nima circle or in Liberia circle as we think he is, in order to be able to pull the strings to say, oh, if I support CDC will win. I can withdraw my support from CDC. But the question remains, he is being strong with this $7.5 million. And PYJ can talk about that. Does he have any information that can be damning to this government when it comes to the $7.5 million? So, that's how we answer your question, Timothy.
And just to add to a little bit to what
you coming close on it. But before you close on this issue, but one thing is that you said something that Richardson, his strength, he had 2005, the popularity, the influence he had in Nimba politics, as compared to today, 2023. Don't forget the last time I remember when my big sister competed against him, former Superintendent Edith Gonglo Webb. She gained. I mean, she came within striking distance of with him, his number. I mean, she really pulled him. She really went as threatening his chances. But even though he won, but so as the years came by, his numbers been dropping and so forth, because the issue that Koji raised, Koji said, how much benefit the Benin people have benefited from all what they have done, from you, through you, and they took into tax, even and encouraged them. So with that, this is why you see Prince Johnson he started early. He's really fighting for his position now. People could say Prince Johnson is perhaps whether he will contest, we don't know. Number two, he has a university that he just constructed, a very beautiful university, and he's on sanction. And like you say, have diminished his influence and his strength too. But so whether he will still pull those numbers to help CDC, if you have other Nima sons and running in the race and contesting against the CDC. So, and then the last thing before I go to Fagon, Prince Johnson is on the ballot this year. He's seeking re-election. So all of that, it's not like when he was running for president in the last election, but he's on the ballot this year for re-election. And like I'm hearing from my sources from CDC that's telling me that they are seriously thinking about supporting this guy against him, this Duapo Megazone guy against him. Now, people may dismiss it, but whatever the case, and they are trying to really get at him. And now, I think that the one that broke the camel's neck is that with this interview he did yesterday, because he went international. And I don't think it was, to call these people names out there, tell James Butte, all those who came to see him. And these are top officials of the We Are government. Okay. These are people that in We Are's orbit, including the national chairman of the party, all of them. So to say they came to him, trying to convince him, and also what Eugene said, is in other words, and I said, look, you're sanctioning because I play pay to play. I sell votes. But you see, I on sanction, but the people coming to talk to me again, the government talking to me. So you see, so maybe the weird government will get mad and say this guy trying to destroy. So maybe they'll get mad and walk away from this negotiation. Either they negotiate with Jeremiah Kuhn or the leadership, but no more Prince Johnson. So I don't know, but I don't know how it would end. But I predict I'm going to say that I don't know words. I don't know how it will end. But if I'm going to just end on this.
Can I just steal 1 second of your time? I think we also have to realize the complexity of ethnicity in Nima County. Nima County consists of, the Gio belt, the Mano belt, the Mandingo belt, and also the intermarriages of the Mandingo people with the Mano people, the Gio people, and the Mano people. So all of these things, I think, creates the more reason why we have to study the strength of Prince Johnson, especially in today's world when we have everybody on the internet, everybody getting messages, everybody asking, what have you done for me lately? That a question. Even the Nima people are asking, what have Prince Johnson done for us lately? We are no longer in war to say he can be a warrior to save us. So, I think we have to consider the complexity of that region in our response to, whether he's still powerful in the region, in Nima County.
If I'm going to take us on this.
Look, there is a reason why Nimba County is the second, hear me out, is the second political and economic capital of the country. Political, in terms of numerical value, electoral votes, if you like. Economically, no other county measure to Nimba County.
True.
PYJ remains the leader of Nimba. And the strength of the Nimba people, they can do all their talking. When it comes to battle, they come together as one. And the leader is Prince Johnson. I will repeat myself. You and Nimba men can be yelling over there, talking all kind of things. As soon as you want to talk about another Nimba man, and they play your fighting coming star now, he joined on the other Nimba man's side. They do not break up. They debate, they argue. They are like the people of Lofa. They will be fighting against you. As soon as you go for one of their own, either their uncle or they call the person nephew, your hair leader. Let's not forget. Let's go to some basic facts here. Not the fiction, the facts. 6 years ago, Prince Johnson beat Joseph Boakai and George Weah with 53% just 6 years ago. They're not 20 years old. And you know who came second in Nimba? Looking at it right here, Joseph Boakai. 19.9%. You know how many George Weah you talking about? My political leader. You know how much he got in Nimba? They say 7% can be beyond Kumi's way.
You mean the first round of 2017 election?
I better see Papi for my boy around the screen.
Go ahead.
So,
I love that. Benesi.
George Weah and Joseph Boakai, who more popular in Nimba? If you look at the last data, the mistake Jefferson Koji made was to go look at all the chiefs that see Prince Johnson as their leader and hero and say, do not follow failed politicians who have been here for 18 years now and can't do nothing. I don't believe my little brother Jefferson Koji was thinking. During the last 18 years, under Prince Johnson as senator, Tomali, correct me if I'm wrong, is that not when they built the Jackson F. Doe Hospital? Under the last 18 years.
Under Salif administration, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is that now what carried the Kota Road straight to Ganta? Under the last 18 years, was it that Prince Johnson that carried college in Nimba? Under the last 18 years, isn't that Prince Johnson that changed now from college to university? Under the last 18 years, under Prince Johnson, isn't that when now Nimba has become the vote-rich county? And politically they're strong, and economically they are viable. Isn't that one of the men? Then today you look at the man. His sons and daughters are basically Liberian millionaires. Very hardworking. They need beggar to vote. All of them got something. And you call the man a failed politician. Minus Prince Johnson, would you have had Jackson F. Doe Hospital? Would you have had a college, now a university? Would you have had NIMBA to be a place where they've now been considered in our body politics as the kingmaker? You said Dopo Mekazo. Nobody in NIMBA County want to even face Prince Johnson because he always just say one thing, NIMBA, remember. As soon as he said remember, everybody take their position straight and put themselves in single file, including all the guys there, because Prince Johnson and the people of NIMBA have not created Tomali a succession to say, we'll succeed from Liberia. No, no, no. But NIMBA is almost like a state by itself. You go there, you get Osterhold, don't bring aside the quota. That a rule there. You don't go NIMBA before? You can't tell your plane and just pass all around. You can't just pay any funny thing in the city. But the people there, they're nothing different from our thing. Go to Ganta. Let people call you on this program and tell you about NIMBA. NIMBA is like a state by itself. They got their own laws and things that they govern themselves with. You don't go play fun there. So as Prince Johnson winning the election, he's already the next senator. What left to be said now is, which way will NIMBA go? Because anywhere NIMBA go, that's where the weight is.
Like he said in his interview, if it is true that his party leadership they are in talks with the ANC and the UP, it could depend on the length of the length of the discussion. It could change the situation because former Vice President Boyka, he was in Nimba recently, and I think Cummings also visited there too. But depending on the level of discussion they are having, they have had with the ANC and the UP. I mean, maybe this time around, people may say, well, Prince Johnson's his movement, they are serious, because if they are receiving good commitments from from the ANC and UP, you can never tell if they are accidental, they would give extent of VP choice to them. You can never tell. Who knows whether GMB will want to take Kuhn, ask Kuhn to run with him, and Cummings want to ask Kuhn to run with him, or so forth. Because don't make no mistake. This election is tough. Will be a tough election, and JMB, you saw recently, he seemed to be a formidable force in the sense that his illness shook the whole country.
The Papa spent 3 days in a place.
The whole country was shaken by his illness, and even the up to the extent where you had the ruling party, they came up with stuff that is supporting the old man and so forth. But it just shows you the kind of person he is, how powerful and strong he is, how formidable he is. Take it or leave it. JMB and the opposition came.
You see them all on the live feed, Tomali. I'm a proud Liberian. Me too. Me
Yeah,
too. That's why you don't play.
If it is true that MDR and the UP are in serious discussion, the CDC should be worried about it. If they're in discussion with the ANC, should be worried about it, because that's a scary thing. If I was in the ruling establishment, to see a JMB and the UP people talking to Prince Johnson people, Jeremiah Kuhn and so forth, you don't want to see it happen, because they can change the dynamics of the game. But we'll leave it as is and see what happens. We still got 259 days to go. We are monitoring these elections. Things happening, and we just gonna just watch, because, like I said, I cannot predict on Prince Johnson. Yeah. Because Prince Johnson have given me a lot of reasons not to predict on him.
You know the latest gossip I heard today?
No.
PYJ, Alex Tyler, James Barney, they are considering something. They've discussed previously, and take it from me. I put my 2 hands to it. I'm too confident saying it. They discussed already. I don't know where they're going, but there might be a grand or a great coalition of the 3 parties because of the way they were treated. Either ways they can go, but they believe that if they come together, they will be stronger, and the negotiation will be better with leverage.
Well, like I said earlier, whoever if MDR and binding faction or the MPP decide to go to one of these guys, Boyka or Cummings, the party city should be worried about it, because that means they are taking the major region of the country going towards that end. But let's see what happens, and we just want to pray for the best for Liberia, and as I always say, the greater good one for the country, because we want Liberia to be a place where we can go and invest and enjoy our rest of our lives. But let's see what happens. But after with this topic now, some time ago, remember the government of Liberia decided to amend to come up with an act to reestablish something about reorganizing the LACC, the Liberian Anti-Corruption Agency, and they decided to even change all the commissioners and so for them to reapply. And the present commissioner, who is still there, Attorney Consular Edwin Martin, took them to court. And now today, the Supreme Court of Liberia, the full bench, will be coming with a ruling on Thursday. But I want for you guys to weigh in. I think I sent you guys the court thing from the court. I sent it to Eugene, I think, in our room. But on Thursday, I want to ask, based on what you know, what you guys think will be the ruling of the Supreme Court on this matter? Because Councillor Martin is saying that he wasn't treated fair. He positions a tenure position. He was the position to serve as LACC chairman and commissioners are all tenure position. And the Liberian government came out to they want to take away the tenure, and they just came up with a new law that was passed. The president signed into law that setting a new LACC and with other powers. But Councillor Martin, so he's a lawyer. He said, no, I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to go to court. And the matter has reached the Supreme Court. So on Thursday, the Supreme Court will be handing down the ruling on the full bench. But usually I'll start with you. Can you weigh in on what you think will happen in this matter?
Before Councillor Martin went to court, what you think established the LACC? In our law, the law made it a tenure position, right? Until the law is amended, it is the law. So when the law tells you're there for 6 months, the next law that comes will have to begin after your 6 months. They don't just kind of take you from there because there's a new law. No, they don't do that. And I think the government tried to muscle him, but they forgot that he was a lawyer and he knows the law. So that one aspect, I don't want to jump in front of the Supreme Court because some of us, our opinions are so strong that they shape public opinions. Okay? So I don't want to jump in front of them. But what I want to say is this speaks to some of the charges that is usually placed on President Weah and his administration. You want to fight corruption. The guy comes out and says, Legis is corrupt as an entity now, not him as Martin. You get that? Why ain't part of my desk first? I see a passing on my desk. Mr. President, you send a people to go fight corruption, a people doing their job. They must come to your desk first before they do what they have to do legally. Doesn't make sense. They come up again. Agriculture part, we already knew about it. Almost 25 names. What the President Weah said in an interview, that the final court, they're guilty now. Since the LACC put out the corrupt listing for Legis and agriculture, what became of the two cases? Zilch, zero. The president admitted, oh, now it's on my desk. I will review it. Has he done so? No. Has he done so in the case of the agriculture? No. Legis? No. What about the Port of Buchanan? Has he done so? No. So it was an attempt to take Martin out bring a law whereby President Weah was confident that he will win 2023 and be able to control the LACC when he wants to, how he wants to, and the way and manner in which he wanted to be shaped and to proceed. And I think that's wrong for our democracy. The LACC should be a place independent enough to deal with us if we are criminals, not for a president to control. The Supreme Court will protect the sanctity of democracy for the purpose of checks and balances and the custodial rights of the Liberian people to their resources. I'm confident in the Supreme Court.
Dr. Peabody, welcome, man.
Thank you. I was off and then went back out. Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Richardson.
Yeah. Similarly, I do not want to preempt the decision of the Supreme Court. I want to wait and hear what they have to say. But I think the issue of a tenure needs to be discussed. The reason why people get tenure is for them to have the freedom to investigate and to make decisions so that nobody should have influence over the decision. And I think this is what had happened with the anti-corruption body, the LACC. They wanted to have their own freedom. This is why tenure was put in to say, we are your watchdog. We are going to tell the government how corrupt or not corrupt you are. And we need to have the freedom to be independent to make that decision. And here come our current president passing a law that said, no, I have to be involved. And if I remember correctly, if my recollection served me right, that he is part of the one who will select a body to then go on and select people on the LACC commission, the LACC agency. The current leader is saying, no, I was tenure. This is an independent body to some extent. We need to be able to tell you whether you are corrupt or not. You can't come here and just say our tenure no longer exists, and rightfully so. Corruption is a major problem in our country. They have a straight responsibility to assess corruption and speak it as it is. I think the president should stay out of telling them how to go about investigating or not investigating someone for corruption. He shouldn't be involved. He really shouldn't be involved. So I wait to see what the Supreme Court has to say.
Yeah, Dr. Peabody, I just to cue in. Sometimes ago, the government came up with decided to change the anti-corruption commission and establish a new one, and that means the commissioners, which were all tenure, they serve at certain length of time. I think they said the Consular Martin has said no, it's not fair. We are tenure officials. We should serve our tenure, and before we are removed, except for the cause. So they took it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court tomorrow on Thursday will be issuing a ruling on this case. What's your expectation or prediction for the Supreme Court ruling on this matter?
Well, I hope that the Supreme Court rules within the right to do what is best in the interest of the Liberian people in terms of the law. But I think let's go back to this tenure. We saw Isaac Jackson. He had a tenure position back there. He was removed without even the government going by the Constitution or whatever, or the law that are required by the anti-corruption. Now we see another one. We know that this man at the anti-corruption have come up with some audits and some stuff that he was trying to implement, and he was undermined. So as all has said, I think I trust the Supreme Court. I expect them to take the right decision within the law, and but don't be surprised. Our Supreme Court have been going a little different over the last few months or years. We have seen them make decisions that have been very confusing in terms, for example, the Brownie Samaka case. We saw the Supreme Court pivoting here and there and stuff like that. So let me say it will be a hard decision, but we expect the Supreme Court to do what is right, to interpret the law the right way. But we have seen a lot of misinterpretation coming from the Supreme Court over the last year or other cases. We look at cases that are like even the Liberty Party case. We saw how many times it went and came back, then somebody else. So, I don't want to say condemn anything here, but for some reason, when you have a justice system that is a bit compromised, I'll stop there. I'm not going to say anything before I go my room and somebody can grab me and say I insulted the Supreme Court. I'm not going to say anything. But I have my own reservation when it comes to the Liberian Supreme Court. I have my own.
We're going to dig well for the people.
But for me, I will try to rely on the legal input of some of Liberia's best lawyers. They're saying that look, the court will decide tomorrow whether on Thursday whether the action to remove tenure officials by another law was constitutional. And
that's it.
They are saying that the government was wrong, and on that basis alone, they will rule against the government of Liberia. That's why, top lawyers are saying that.
That's the point I was making.
Tomorrow. So we look forward to see what happens on Thursday. And whether Consular Martin, Edwin Martin, will remain as chairman of the LACC and his tenure, and so forth. There's a test for our Supreme Court. The world is watching. Liberians will be watching on Thursday, and from the Supreme Court of Liberia, it'll be the first major case of Chief Justice Say Yinen Yuo, her bench. Let's see what based on that case, on that ruling on Thursday, we'll know how election will be handled when it comes to go to the court. So we'll see from there. So let's see what happens.
That's the first major test. I'm not calling it too many, but
yeah, go ahead.
First major test. But again, if you go, half of the Supreme Court bench was appointed by President Weah. But I expect them to do what is right. That's all.
Okay. Another important thing that's coming up now is the issue about we saw the headline yesterday about the voters that because of this biometrics and all kinds of the census and everything coupled with it, many people may not be able to vote on 2023 because we're hearing that it will require people to show the ID cards to the ID cards to vote, and it's of concern. Up to now, we have not heard the result of the census, the biometrics of the process on the NEC. We don't know where they are right now. It's getting serious. It's scaring that come with 259 days to election, we still do not have. We know where we stand with this voter registration process, and with the requirement that people have to show ID card to vote. And guys, I want to know your thoughts on this. It's serious. We'll start with Dr. Peabody first.
Let me say this. There's a lot of challenges when it comes to the voter registration. We're seeing that we have almost 9 months into election, and we're still trying to register people. We still have issue with, we don't know what the population of Liberia is right now. There's still a lot going on. And if it is not fixed, what I can say is the election will be a mess. And then you will have people crying foul that this happened, that happened. People are voting 2 times, people are voting 3 times. I think they have 5 years to deal with this. They knew that this was going to come. And I think people are right to cry foul at this time about the registration, all of that, because the direction that is going in is going to make it difficult. And it probably will be a difficult election. You have a lot of opposition crying foul, and this is happening. But if you have register your people, you don't even have. Even voter. Even ID card, identification card. How many people have citizenship card in Liberia? How many people have that? Have identity. A national identification that they can show, a national ID card. There was a national ID card. Sunday Morovia. I don't know how far. Maybe Minister Falcon can speak to that. I don't know how far he's gone. Well, how many people have national ID card in Liberia before they show before they vote? That'll be a problem. I'm serious. Otherwise, a lot of people will not vote. A lot of people will not vote.
Well, I see the NEC. I think they are come out with a release. They are denying it. They're saying that from what the release it came out with, I just received saying that once you're 18-year-old, you just have to physically appear to register to vote. But again, like you said, that people are it's still concerning that we don't know how many persons are how many our population and so forth. We know exactly how many based on the census report. We'll tell you how many persons 18 and above. That'll be so. We'll look at how many persons eligible to register to vote. We know from the results of the census, but up to now we're still in the dark. But that reason in Wayne.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to read the NEC statement that came out, the press statement. So let me just see if I can.
Go ahead.
Quickly. So this statement was issued Monday, January 24th, 2023. Well, actually, I'm sorry, Monrovia. It was issued in Monrovia, January 24th, 2023, which is on Tuesday. I apologize for saying Monday. They said that the National Elections Commission, NEC, said that January 24th, 2023, Front Page Africa article captioned "Millions may not vote in October elections" is false and misleading. So they say when Front Page Africa headline said that millions may not vote in October elections, it's not true. That's false and misleading. And the NEC said that headline that Front Page Africa carried has the potential to prevent millions of Liberians from registering in their March 20 to May 11, 2023 voters registration in Liberia. So NEC is saying they're not happy with Front Page Africa headline that millions may not vote in October. The NEC people say that they categorically, that means they strongly dismisses the claims by the Front Page Africa newspaper that voters are required to use national identification cards to obtain biometric voter registration ID cards for this year's general and presidential elections. So NEC is saying that is not true, that you don't have to obtain a national identification card to be able to obtain the biometric voters registration ID cards for the elections coming up. The NEC says Liberians 18 years and above are to only physically appear at the registration center and register. So for all of us who want to register, all you gotta do is go to the centers when they announce where the centers are. You need to carry no national identification card, ID card like the paper said. The NEC states that it has no plan to subject eligible Liberians to verification except when doubt arises as to a person's posting to be Liberian. So if you're faking it, you're coming from other places, other parts of the world, and say that you're Liberian, and you got no information to prove that you're Liberian, that when they will question you, they will ask you about your national identity. The commission notes that the section 3.1A through E of the new elections law as amended on December 15, 2014, says the principal means of verifying whether a person is a citizen of Liberia is a valid Liberian passport, a birth certificate, a certificate of naturalization, a sworn statement by two registered voters or confirmation by a Liberian traditional leader may be requested to prove your citizenship. So if you're saying that you're a citizen and NEC believe it, or the people to the voters registration people don't believe it, they will say that you might bring your birth certificate, your passport, your naturalization form, or two people who are Liberians who are voters can kind of swear for you and say they know you. They can vouch that you're Liberian, or you can bring one of the traditional leader from your county or your community that will prove your Liberian citizenship. The new elections law further empowers the National Election Commission to issue regulations to establish the procedures in which these means and other means the NEC deems necessary and appropriate will be approved. It is against this backdrop that the commission now includes the National Identification Registry Card as one of the several means of verification if and only where a nationality or age is in question. This is far from being a prerequisite to voters registration. So they're saying anybody can vote only if your identity is in question. The NECY is showing that all Liberians 18 years old and above will be allowed to register. The NEC calls for Liberians to look to the Commission for information regarding their biometric voter registration exercise. So that's what they are saying. My thoughts on this would be, they're still talking about this biometric registration exercise. Are they not going to teach the people or tell the people more about what this biometric is? This is what is confusing. I think this is what makes anybody feel like there may be people not wanting to vote, because if you're bringing us biometrics to vote, then you need to tell us what is it, what is involved, what it consists of. Even though you're telling us that we can just show up to vote, we need nothing, but then you're still saying there's biometric exercise. So that is a little bit unclear to many Liberians. And I also wonder about the diaspora Liberian. I think recently the president gave permission or signed a law that says that people in the diaspora, Liberians in the diaspora, can vote. So any Liberian, we can just show up from the United States and then go and vote. We can show with our passport, our birth certificate. So I think it would be helpful. All of those things can be clearly explained to Liberians.
David Minister Fagon, as you weigh in, I want to ask you a question. Well, how can voter registration happen before the mapping of electoral districts? I mean, how?
First of all, it's not supposed to happen.
Exactly.
And that is why people started blowing the trumpet on this, I would call it fraudulent based on the evidence we've seen. This entire census, right, was driven, at the time it was driven in order to provide the data that will inform the NEC as to how to proceed with the new redistricting of the country so as to prepare for the elections. Unfortunately, you see people importing numbers, computing numbers out of their mind, people not getting paid. Let me tell you what I heard from one of your very hardworking staff at Tourmaline. What's his name? God, I will call his name here in a minute. His name is Papi. I will get his name. But he's very prominent here. Do you know that in that community, even the guy who, like the census supervisor, one of the census supervisors, they are not counting and his family either. Yeah, that's how bad it was. That Good Day best friend, man. Good Day best friend. Baby Good Day will soon call him in for me. Chocon Flammer. I asked Chocon, have you been up to today? Chocon Flammer and his entire family and all their neighbors and their communities have not been counted. And this is a story all around the country because of the mess. So here is it. You ask a good question. Can they do that? No, they're not supposed to do that. So what are they going to do now? How can they redistrict the country in the absence of a credible census? That's when we said, we don't think the elections will be fair. Why? Because we think people, as we saw them, importing numbers, and we carry out what we call in political science gerrymandering. When that happens, they look at you and Dr. Peabody. They know that Dr. Peabody is so famous in Pennsylvania. And they know that you're not too famous in Pennsylvania, but during the redistricting, they say, but plenty of people in Pennsylvania. So what we do, let's draw the line where Levittown and all those areas will fall into Mali areas, so they got plenty of people. And that way you will win. And that's a form of cheating, but it's legal. So we don't have the right data. Will we stay with the old data and the old districts, or will we incorporate this fraudulent census? That remains to be seen, but we're on the standby.
And I just the amended electoral law to register to vote on October 10, 2023. The law says
I left that one out.
the law says you should have a Liberian passport or a valid Liberian national identification card. It was amended by our lawmakers in September of last year. But NEC is, I don't understand, but it's confusing though.
But here is the thing about that thing, and I was talking to a friend just now. Here is the thing about it. If your citizenship comes into question, then you will be requested to provide your national ID card, yada, yada, yada. But here is the question now. Who's going to put your citizenship into question? At the registration, will ANC people be there? UP people will be there? CDC people will be there? Who's going to question your citizenship? Will it be the NEC officials? I'm taking it back. Because those are hard questions that people should address to say, look, this is the way we're going to do it. We have an immigration officer, but how many immigration officers have we got in the country? Lead that topic. Somebody will have to speak to something. I'm not a political leader, but these are issues that I will raise and raise it strongly. Because there's always this idea of people trucking voters from other countries into the country to come register and during elections time to come and vote, especially in the case of what? Our bordering towns. That's where the problem will be.
Well, we are, first of all, as we all know, the president will be addressing the nation next week, Monday, and we are expecting him to perhaps speak to give us the update or perhaps the final numbers of the census, report on the census in his address. So we are watching seriously and hoping that they have done all the homework, cross all the T's and dots the I's to make sure that they inform the Liberian people in the world the exact numbers of the population today, tomorrow, present population. The last time they said were 5 million. I'm sure we have over the years, man. It's been almost 18 years since we did census, 10 years, I think. So I'm sure by now we have our population be around 6 million or so. If I don't hear that we're around 6 million plus or 7 million, then I will really question that census though, because people, even though people have been dying, but more people being population increased by now. But it's important though that up to now we don't have our census results up. We are going to elections in the next 200 and some more days. Is concerning, and I hope the political parties too. It's about time that they also put. That's what I said. They should start putting pressure. It shouldn't only be the press, the people going out of a platform discussing this. They should be talking about this thing about voter registration, about the process and so forth, the biometric census. They're all quiet now. I think they've been quiet. So it's about time that they get on their get their acts together and start to talk, because I expected them to have been meeting frequently. All the parties, including the ruling party with NEC, they have that regular meeting, and every weekly meeting with the NEC and the national partners that are supporting the elections to discuss all of these things, to trash all these things, because at the end of the day, when somebody will say, well, the process is not straight, how the registration process is not, somebody is trucking people to register to vote and all kind of stuff, they should get these things trashed up by now. But I just don't know. But guys, before we move on to our last topic, anybody got anything to say about this electoral process before we move on?
I would just hope that they do something at this time to address the barriers that are looming for this coming election. There are a lot of barriers, and that the government will have to address, from the election commission to the biometric to all of that. There's a lot of barriers, and if they don't, this could be a problem come October for the election, because there's a lot of barriers that they have to really deal with, and I'm afraid that this could be a problem. And come 2023 January, Liberia need to have a new president, or maybe President Weah will the incumbent, But if nothing is done to address the barriers that are looming over the government head, It will be a complete embarrassment, and I think the Liberian people deserve better. So I hope that they can do it. I believe they can do it. Maybe folks used to working under pressure, and that's what I believe this government can do. They work under pressure. We saw the SKD Sports Stadium, and they work under pressure, had that completed. So maybe they work better under pressure. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like I want to sort of support what you're saying, Dr. Peabody, that this is elections. This is not like a thing, like a stadium. This is human behavior that they really have to put efforts towards making sure people are informed about this whole election process. Some people be first-time voters. They don't even know where to go, where to expect it. We every day or month we're getting the schedule. I think we have the schedule, as they said, March to May now. But what about the locality that people are supposed to go to register to vote? And again, you cannot dismiss that there will be people leaving from the diaspora. Do you have any? Can it just show up again to these different districts to register to vote? And all of those things. I think having some regular routine press conference to make the public secure in their voting process, make them aware, would be very, very helpful. So that's what I wanted to say. Yes, and the census is great. I think I had somebody just told me that it is estimated, I think very close to what you're saying, something that the population should be at least 5.5 million to 6 million people based on the growth of the country.
Yes. And the opposition, especially, what they need to do right now, I think it will be good for them to engage in civil education, like what you guys are doing, that the registering. That's what I think they should focus on now. Engage in civil education, and also and ensure they have observers during the voter registration process, so that you make sure that they are people are registering to vote, and also come up with a hotline. So in case if you didn't get count, if they didn't count you, you have opportunity to register to vote. You call the hotline and make your case that I wasn't counted by the census. I wasn't captured by the census, and also voter registration time. I never had opportunity to register to vote. I was stopped from voting, or whatever the case you come up with. I think nobody should engage in now, so that the process should be transparent and with all glitches. Because if they don't, there'll be a mess. They should invest the time in a hotline and say, look, call this number. If you didn't get captured by the census, call this number and register your case. We'll take it from there. And also, time to register to vote. If you didn't get count, if you want part of if they give you problem registering to vote, call this number too. I don't know what they should do. But lastly, before I go to the last thing, something came to my mind. I heard that it's a problem with our council office in America. They say all visa applications in Atlanta now have the same problem in Minnesota. They are suspended under further notice by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So the process should be transparent the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and surrounding areas. In Georgia now, they're having the same problem. That's why in Georgia this Friday they're having the Liberian Chamber of Commerce in Georgia. We're having a concerned Liberian meeting to discuss about the changes, the suspension of the visa process and so forth in Georgia. So I don't know, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs need to give a clear understanding about this, because Minnesota office, we're having the same problem now. Georgia is having a problem now. We know what the plans they're having. So I don't know, you guys, to get in the way in on that issue about the suspension of the council office in Georgia and in Minnesota before we go on our last discussion for the day.
Well, let me just state something, and so we can move on quickly. Totally. When you go to the record, I want to bring your attention to something. When people talk about Nimba, Prince Johnson got a group of people, like in 2017, right? I told you in the first round, President, we are came 7%. And Prince Johnson won with 53%.
Yeah.
Guess what? In the second round, George Weah won with 61% against Joe Barker with 38%. You know what happened? It's like Prince Johnson, whole 53%, plus President we are 70%, getting the 61%. All the other people that voted for Kumis or Bromsky or Wow, they all went behind Parker. You see what I'm saying? So Prince Johnson voted with me with Prince Johnson, just like you said. It was Prince Johnson who pushed him over the top. So if Prince Johnson, there's one who took you from 70% to 61%, and Joe Parker and 19 took the rest of the group. And now he said, he going now and said, look, you know what? I might go with Parker or I might go with Kumis. You got to look at these people votes and how much they have, man. If they give it to him, it's a wrap. If they go against President Weah, it's a wrap. It doesn't matter whether he gave it to Kumis, whether he gave it to Parker. At that stage, it wouldn't matter. You just taking almost 300,000 votes straight when you put it in your back pocket. Go spend it to where Dr. Francine used to go eat her snail. You just go spend it right there.
Yeah, but I mean, but just to say, let me just chime in that, just to say something on that. But don't forget now, during the second round in 2017, most of the people that voted first round, most of them they were just fell up. They said that most people didn't vote the second round, the runoff. People stay home. They weren't interested in the candidates at the time, perhaps, I don't know, but they just gave it up and so forth. But this election, 2023, I'm saying this: we'll have unprecedented turnout of voters in this election. Librarians will go to the polls to vote. This election we have expect a huge turnout in this election that coming up. Very huge turnout. But let's go back to the issue of this Consul General office in Georgia that I'm hearing that they have suspended services there, like Minnesota. And it's concerning. What's your thoughts about it? Because people now have to go wait DC to process passport, visa, and so forth. And what's your thoughts, guys?
I think, Mr. Falcon will say something. I think.
Yeah, I was saying there's only two things I can think about.
Yeah,
because me, I won't even tell you the other thing. Election year, Tomali, right? People want to, like Dr. Francine, and they want to go get a voting card. You should make it easy for everybody to go. But to me, it's like sabotage. Maybe y'all will see it different. I don't want to talk much. You messing with Minnesota. You messing with Georgia. And I'm talking about a place heavily saturated or populated with Liberians. What do you want me to think? I don't see it as trying to bring in a policy. You are in your last year. The next government will overturn that policy. And it takes time for the U.S. government to recognize a diplomat. It takes time. And you just stop everything. Whoop. I think President Weah don't want people leaving the United States to go register. Final word on that. It's a sabotage to the people in the United States. That's my view, and I'm sticking with it.
Many people agree with you. I'm reading the live feed, Mr. Fagon, that people are thinking that the government just don't want people to travel to Liberia to vote, especially since they passed their own law that Liberians in the diaspora are eligible to vote. I'm not understanding it at all, to tell you the truth. Especially, this is a money-making self-service for Liberians. You pay your money. You're not asking extra money for the government. So it is not making sense. It's not adding up at all. This is not prudent. It speaks to maybe the behavior of this government. They tend to do things like statistical way. They don't put effort. They don't show. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it sounds like what everybody's saying on the live feed, that the president of this government is trying to sabotage Liberians traveling to Liberia to exercise their democratic right, which is to vote.
Liberia voter suppression too. When I everybody weighing.
What do people say? Oh?
It appears like that. I mean, too, that voter. I don't know. Let me not get into that. But I think it's sad that we got down the people in Minnesota living all the way in that part of America. Now they have that issue with getting their passport there. And now we're going to Atlanta, Georgia. Where next? What kind of overhaul are they doing? Why are they? Did they expect or suspect any I mean, did they suspect any foul play of anything of that nature to suspend, the visa? I thought we had, in fact, they dual citizenship. What's the interpretation of that dual citizenship? I don't understand book of that whole thing. 1 minute say you want to travel the American passport, travel the Liberian passport. Then when you get to the airline say you need visa, then you can't go or whatever. So I don't know whether they have even alleged the airline that any Liberians coming having a U.S. dual citizenship. I don't understand it. I don't know how that dual citizenship stuff works. Now you got people wanting to go home, people wanting to get visa. I mean, there's election yet, then the whole thing changing now. We're closing another office, we're hiring the other group. The next thing, the whole DC office, everything will be over. There'll be no visa issue, stuff like that. So they really need to come up with something, because this is inconvenient to Liberian who wants to travel, and it's bad because Liberians are one of the highest contributors when it comes to our nation economy there. Liberia, one of the highest contributors, billions of dollars are sent every year by Liberian. Liberian traveling home this holiday, Christmas, and other things to go visit Liberia. It shouldn't be that difficult because they are bringing a lot of money and stuff and putting it into the system. So, boy, one thing from one to another when it comes to everything.
Just before I'm sorry to leave this topic, and your point is well taken, both Tomale and Dr. Peabody. Eloise Page, myself, and Mena Wright, and you Cindy Martin Quaid took NEC to task, asking them why I said that we have to go to Liberia to exercise our right to vote. In other parts of the world, like Guinea, Kenya, Cameroon, you can just go to your local embassy and exercise your right to vote. So we are still waiting for them to respond to us. But I think, while we have them having us wait to hear from them, then they come put this other problem where we can't even get visa to go to the country to vote. It's bad enough that we got to travel all the way there, spend our own money, pay for our own housing. Then, you go register to vote. Then, they could make it easier for us. They could say we could just go to a local embassy and exercise your right to vote. But again, this is what a competent government will do. They will process all these things. The question that you're asking people, did they alert the airline that we are now citizen? You process, you sit down, you think about all these things. You kind of get all your loose end tied up. But in our case, we are just up in the air. Everything's up in the air.
Saying like one thing from one to another, from one to another, from one to another.
But this is time for this. Where if I were heading EULA right now, this is where we're gonna get our support now. The people will get confidence in us now. This one EULA should take the leadership role, step up. So something, we represent Liberians in the diaspora as umbrella for all organization. This is where EULA should step up and play the role. So look, we're gonna now take leadership role and engage the government of Liberia. Send a letter to the president and say, look, we're concerned about what's happening. We hear all of these things about the closure of these consul's office and so forth. They're affecting our people, and also Liberians in the Liberian communities in the affected states. They should go to call meetings. And the meeting they're having in Georgia on Friday, people should attend it and express their views. They should come up and express it because we know what's happening. It's concerning, and everybody's getting concerned about it. And because some of the time judging because the people say you're coming in droves, you're coming in huge load of plane, you're coming to can't register to vote, and you one can't power election. I said that Liberians will vote now. Come on, So, but Liberians should once you have opportunity to go and vote, go and make the way to go and register to vote, take part in election, because tomorrow that's your right you have to vote and exercise it to the best of your ability, so that tomorrow you won't blame yourself to say, well, I should have gone to vote, I should have taken part. Because there's an important election in October. But lastly, right, that's the end. We end on this. We hearing talks about this issue about these VP picks, right? VP. Black guy is in the States now. His team, his office said he'll be making having meetings with people, engaging some people in in the states, in the U.S. Government, and so forth, and everything else. Cummings is also in the country too now, and the people are saying Cummings and boycott. They have been having discussion and talking. 1 minute we're hearing about Jeremiah Koo and boycott, we're hearing about Taiwan, Gonglo, and boycott, we're hearing about the same thing with Cummings, just like that. But President, we already got his ticket though. Make no mistake, he got his ticket. Vice President Joe Howard Taylor will be his running mate. They are getting ready on February 4th. They say they're going to put a million people in the street at the Anthony Tubman Stadium to renominate him. We will see how that turns out. But what's your thoughts about this? The discussion that are floating, all these little gossips or what we call snippets we're hearing about running mates and so forth. What are your thoughts about it? I mean, do you guys think that it ever happened? The Cummings and boycott ticket ever happened, or whatever the case, or Gonglo or ticket with Cummings or boycott or Kuhn? I mean, what you guys think? And then just to add there, with all we're hearing about this issue about Prince Johnson party and so forth, now he's making it clear that on no condition he will work with you, go with CDC now. He's done with CDC. So what do you think that will help? I mean, who will benefit from it? And I mean, what do you think will happen if Prince Johnson and MDR take the support from CDC, as they have said now? What do you think will happen? What are your thoughts, guys? That's what we end on this topic.
Well, what I think is, I think the CDC need the MDR. No doubt about that. They need Prince Johnson, and Prince Johnson, as I always said, I don't agree with Prince Johnson on a lot of stuff. I have my own reservation about him, about some things that he did. Maybe one day I will see him and we'll shake hands and we'll put it behind us and love each other, but Prince Johnson is still the godfather of Nima. He still controls, he still is heavily listening to by the people of Nima. He had that influence. He played a pivotal role during our Liberian Civil War in the name of the people of Nima. So he's still considered a godfather. But take it or leave it. If Prince Johnson go after any candidate supporting him, I mean, that CDC would be in power, would be in trouble. Nima has a huge vote. If you win Nima, you can win another county. You win the election. But let me say this: that in my word, I believe Prince Johnson was overlooked. I believe he was disrespected, especially when you had the mayor Jefferson Kochi go to Lima, and some of the comments that were made that Prince Johnson will be sent to the War Crime Court, and going behind him and bringing a small pocket of people and said that I think it was wrong. I think he supported you. Even if you didn't want to show up with him, you should have done it behind the door and talked to him so that he could get the blessing. But I would say here that if MDR leave the CDC will be in some heck of a trouble. In regards to selecting VP, I think it's a very crucial, it's a tedious thing to do. So I think I still support I would agree that the opposition needs to take their time, because when you announce a VP, you will gain vote or you could end up losing vote. So I think it's a crucial thing. It's gradual, and I think they need to take the time. That's what I would say. But there are a lot of great people out there who can be vice president. Still a lot of great people. I think Taiwan Gonglo is great. I think Nobel Peace Prize laureate is great. She could be a great vice president too. Jeremiah Cohn could be a great vice president. And one great person, I think, because of the issue he had with the Supreme Court breaking my rule, Bernie Sanders could be a great vice president. Good man. That guy, man, he would have been an excellent vice president. For any candidate. And Kofi Woods is out there. He been around for a minute and been trying this, and it hasn't worked for him. But so there's a lot of great people out there. There's some great women there too. Let me say that. Edith Congo is a great lady. Yumli, I would say Yumli Kanga also post some photos, and there are some new people. Somebody that I admire a lot and think people will say, well, she doesn't bring forth, but I think Charlene Bronskin could be a great vice president for somebody. So, I'll leave it right there. But there are some great.
Well, I was still with you before I go to that recent. Yeah. Let me still with you again. Now, don't forget now. You have the president is in re-election. He controls the bullet pulpit. They control the national purse, and he will be making his nationwide tour. He will be going, giving his State of the Nation address next week, Monday. That address, he won't be talking about what he's going to do this year, because this year's forget it. He'll be telling Liberian people mainly what he has done, what he has done over the last 5 years. He gave him his record, talking about what he has accomplished as president for 5 years. And mind you, there were several. I'm hearing that several projects they will be dedicating as he go on his tour and so forth. You think, despite that, the election will still be tough for him? All I've said, it will be tough for him. You have a tough task ahead of him going against the opposition.
Let me say this, Tony, that the president. Firstly, let me say that I hope the speech will be a little not long as it was last year. I hope they give the president some time not to just stand out there for 2-3 hours for one speech. I think they need to come up and just put it in a way that the president will have some time to rest too, because standing out there 2-3 hours last year was just very, very long, So, but we've been around. People been around Liberia. They can see what have really changed. I give the president some credit. He got some roads. He got the 37 military hospital. He got the hospital in Bapulu. Yeah, I give him credit for that, and they feed a road around Monrovia and things like that. But how have the people of Liberia, how their life change? Have their life change? Their daily needs been met. Even we got a lot of hospitals, but people still die in the numbers from curable diseases. Let's look at the security system in our country. Has it improved? People are afraid to go out certain time of the night. Corruption. Number one issue, major issue. We saw the U.S. jumping in there and say, "Hey, we want to come with sanctions and things." That's even escalate the situation of corruption in Liberia. How many people have been indicted through our court system for corruption or arrested and things like that? Nobody. People steal, or the good name we call it, embezzle, and just go their way. Nothing happened. They come and say, "Oh, I've been vindicated." Some of them ain't even go to court. They'll target one of those who were indicted on a lot of corruption charges. Did he ever go to court and they drop the case before the time? So I think people will look at that, have their life change. How have the Liberian people life changed? How? Our education system and a lot of things. How have it changed? It has not. So, and I might the president did little stuff, but the 5 years, what happened to the Liberian people? How was Liberia changed? How was let's look at it. Job. What the unemployment rate in our country today? So I think that would be a very difficult something to make for the president. I think it will be very, very challenging to make. I'm looking forward to listening to that speech, but That'll be a difficult case to make to the Liberian people for the last 5 years, because have anything changed in our country? What has changed?
So people you raised some salient points, and opposition, if they are listening to you, they better take some of your. So take what you said. You may raise some key points, especially the one that struck me is issue of corruption. You said no one has been prosecuted in court and found guilty of corruption, and today they say, well, this person was prosecuted, and they are now serving term in jail for corruption. And the international community, especially our major ally America, they have talked about corruption. Have been the issue hanging over us with corruption issue. But yet and still, can I show anybody that have been found? That's why it was important. The government, the president, they implement the LACC recommendation. It would have helped them, because the LACC recommendation indicted officials of government for corruption. Even the audits that were done on the National Road Fund and other stuff, they should have really act on it, so that today they could run and say, look, we took action. When people betray the public trust, we took action. They went to court. They had the rights. They had the rights. They had the lawyers. When they were found guilty, and they're now serving tenure, 10 time in jail. They can run with that record and say, look, we didn't compromise the issue of corruption. We acted upon it. We went through the due process, and our court systems is still viable, still strong. But like you said, we can't show anybody that's behind bars today for corruption. Only the low-key people we hear about, But Dr. Richardson, what's your thoughts?
So I would like to speak first about the president's upcoming speech. I think that all of the issues that the government has right now will overshadow whatever the president has to say to us during his speech. We're talking about the $7.5 million that Senator Johnson keeps on talking about for Nima people. We also have an explanation. What happened to the money? For all intended purposes, it could have went to a good cause. Maybe the finance ministry can explain to us. Maybe they spend it on Nima people, but we don't know. We are in the dark. And then we go on to the $5 million bombing agreement that we've been talking about on this show. What happened, to that $5 million that the bombing people were supposed to get? Where is it? Was it again misappropriated by this government for another purpose? Who authorized the misappropriation of the money? And then we go to the road funds. We had a show about the road funds here. All right. Liberian points to pay 25 cents, and now they're paying 50 cents as they pay for gas, taking money out of their pocket. How have that helped Liberians? They call these roads political roads. It's interesting how the Liberian people themselves describe, the roads that this government built. They dig up holes, and then when elections coming up, they try to make the road look better. But it doesn't last long. So because I asked them, I said, why you call this road political road? They say, man, they're coming to kind of post on a quota order road that won't last for a long time. Or they would let us say that.
Wait, I really interrupt you. Who are telling you this? So the citizens?
Yeah. Well, they can call it political road, and the new language I learned like political road. They say.
So they put us to pay, and they put us to pay.
They say, man, I said, but why are you calling the thing political road? They got everything political, water, political, everything. I said, but why are they putting political to everything? Then they say, oh, they roll your man. By the time the rain comes, it will be flooded, or they roll out. Well, sometimes they will come like the RIA highway. They just digging it, acting like they're facing it, but it's just a fool to say they're doing something. I said, I'll leave that one to you. But all of those things, like we talk about the rice shortage. Rice, our staple food. I don't think Liberians will forget the fact that they had to stand in line to find rice. I don't think our women will forget the fact that they had to climb fences to find rice to eat, and that nobody spoke to them. We had an investigation that was broadcast in the legislature, but nobody really came to empathize with our people to say, yeah, we understand your cries for rice. This is what we're doing. We know they say, oh, you're bringing in rice, but tell us about the sustainability of the plan that you have. Are we going to have this shortage again? The child that went to bed hungry because she couldn't have rice. Who explained to her parents that will not have this problem again in our country, or will try to prevent this problem in our country. Then we got the religious problem. We already talked about all the corruption that happened to religious. Now one person paid the price. Okay, as Dr. Peabody was saying. And then the census, the enumerator problem. Some people in our country, they have not even been counted. Then we enumerator, I think just until yesterday, if you remember, I think they were arguing about their money again, saying that they did the task. They asked them to go out, but they didn't do but they're still not getting paid. So I think whatever the president has to say in the next coming week will be overshadowed by all of these issues that I've outlined it. And these are very much bread and butter issues for Liberians. All right. Let's also not forget the president has $150 million in the budget called for public sector investment plan. So the president has this money that he can use at his discretion. I was struggling to understand part of this money is so the president can use it for election, and I think that puts his opponent at a disadvantage, because the president got $150. He can get jacket for the fisherman and put "we are name" on it. He can get car and say "we are name" on it, carry his own name.
Excuse me, that jacket they put, you say "we are name," he put the president name on it.
Yes, I will put the picture. We are a gift from "we are." That's what it has on the jacket for the fisherman.
Oh,
yeah, and these are all taxpayers and Liberian people money. So it's just difficult for us to talk these things. What kind of government do we have? And lastly, we'll talk about the selection of our vice president. I think I will look at compatibility. I'm not going to tell Boca who to choose, Cummings who to choose. Again, the key issue is, are you compatible with the person that you select? Okay. Do you guys have the same vision for the country? We saw that. I think part of the things that hurt our country when Joel and we were not on the same page. I don't know you guys remember that time frame in our country. I think it hurt our country. It hurt the ability of women, particularly, to have voice, because initially we're all happy. We had a female vice president. She was going to speak for us. She was going to represent us in sexual and gender-based violence. But those years where they were not speaking, or he was not consulting with her, I was not consulting with her, I think hurt the voice of women in the country and hurt women's issue. And overall, I think it hurt the country's issue. I see on the show she said, well, he came and talked to her and everything is okay right now. If he's only selecting her to get women and not to utilize her strength, her intelligence, and I think that is very wrong. It's wrong. Although I know women make up at least 51 more than 50% of the population in Liberia. The vice president is like the heartbeat from the presidency. You got to make sure this person will be presiding. We saw Joel preside over the Senate today. The person got to be very strong. The person to preside over something means that you take charge. So you will be sending the president's message out into the Senate. You'll be lobbying with people, networking with people, making sure that they speak your message. They vote for what you want as a president. So that's why I think the compatibility of a vice president should be good. I wish they could pick. Don't just pick a woman for picking a woman. Pick a strong woman. I think a younger person to represent the young people in our country, because they have a serious need. They need a voice in the government. I think would be helpful as well. So I'll leave it at that. We'll see who they pick. We'll be here to talk about whoever they select.
Well, don't forget, I think 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, they're going to elections in Nigeria. So the people that are running for Nigeria, so probably running, let you know. So I think most of the guys, all the people that are running for Nigeria in their 70s, I think. So, I mean, it's all about the good of the country. Who will be in charge, put the country in whose hands and take the country and be in their hands. Like I said, if President Weah deserve a second term, that Brent will make that decision out in October. But next week, Monday, expect it will be the president's last State of the Nation address. If he won't be reelected, it will be the last State of the Nation address. So, and that's where he will take advantage of that pulpit and make his case, because that's the advantage for him, because he's speaking to the entire nation. The world will be watching him, making that if his last State of the Nation address to in his term, in his first term. So that speech that Peabody said, they shouldn't make it so long because the last one was so long. The president was, we saw he was getting tired and all. But I think they will use the speech. Those who writing the speech will do their best because you won't be telling the people what you're going to do. That speech, especially what has been done in the past, the last 5 years, is accomplishment. He was trying to make a compelling and a convincing case to the Liberian people. So look, I'm your president. I've been with you for 5 years. I stood with you. Why should you re-elect me? Why not? Why shouldn't you elect Boyka, Cummings, or Tewan, or whoever that running? Don't elect them. Re-elect me, making that case, and everything will be on the table. And also, too, the opposition should be, just like in our country, Liberia, we don't do it. But in America, before the president gave his State of the Nation address, they gave copies of it to the press, and everybody will have copy of it. So that's why most of the 1 year, right after the president gave his State of the Nation address in this country, in a few minutes, the opposition they respond to it because they already know what they're responding to. But we don't do it in Liberia. We don't give copy of our speech ahead of time because opposition, but it should be able to. I remember when we're actively involved in the CDC. I remember when President Sally when she gave her State of the Nation address, we'll preempt it. We know what she will say. So we already had it prepared. By the time she gave it, we hit it the same day. We not waste that time. And I remember working with some people on that stuff, and we know exactly. We were looking at her year, the year in review, what she did and what she failed to do, and with her weakness, and we hit it just like that. But I don't know. But ANC, UP, what else? ACOP, what party name? What party name? You got some new parties a few days, so I know. Yeah, but you should all be ready with their response to the president. Like if you look at what he said, everything he said that he was going to do the last 5 years, get ready to respond to it, and get ready to respond. But if they will wait till after 1 week pass, then you kill it because there's no more story again. That's why no matter what happens, you should be ready on next week Monday before the day ends to respond. You shouldn't wait till the next day or 2 days pass. No, be ready. Just preempt. What you think the president will say? President, all he'll be doing 2 things is accomplishment. Telling you that he paid wire fees, he paid free tuition to public universities, he built hospitals and things, and some feeder roads, and he also brought teachers on salary, brought them back in the workforce, and healthcare workers. These are things I heard him say over time, And maybe he also tell you that you took Coca-Cola left on here. Yeah, then you don't know how Coca-Cola came back yet, but he brought it back here. I'm tell you, he brought Coca-Cola back. And you took it from here, but he brought it back, So you have to get ready. I was expecting to see opposition to do on Monday, but if they waste time, the president will see the show and he would he would get straight on the road. Because usually, as soon as the president gave that State of the Nation address, the next thing to do, they go on the road to sell the message to the people. Why they should make their message, their case to the people. Maybe he will start nationwide to right away. But he coming to the States in March, so we don't know. But guys, what are your thoughts again, man? What you expect to hear from him on Monday? What I think we will tell the people of Liberia on Monday what you're expecting to say, and for the last 5 years, what he's expecting to say to the Liberian people on Monday.
Well, I expect to talk about for the first time the hospital in Babulu. For the first time, we have a oxygen plan. I expect to hear JFK trauma unit.
Dialysis and all that.
Dialysis machine. I expect to hear the road being constructed between Sani Kode and Ganta. I expect to hear, the TVET school that just been built in Sano and thing in Monserrato and all of that. So I expect to hear all of that, so I hope that the writer will really put in there thing that the Liberian people will look to and say, yes, our president did this, or we felt this, But one thing, let me say this: I expect him to say that Our press freedom is better off today. I think they have done a great job when it comes to the press freedom and people expressing, about the government and how. I think I give them credit on that because there have been a lot of people that have pawned on this government. They have we are all traveled back and forth, different. The press, I think, I give them credit, and I think they should be proud of themselves. The government need to be proud of themselves for that. I give them credit on that. But areas that could have really boosted, corruption, security, and all of that did not go well. So the rice shortage issue was another problem that people had. So I'm looking forward to see where the president will say on Monday. But that's a heck of a speech to give, especially with not much that was done in the last 5 years. And this will be his last speech as president.
If he's not reelected now.
If he's not reelected, yeah, that will be his last speech. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're expecting to really come here. He will come strong. President we are expecting to come strong and make that case, make that a convincing case. But
Yeah.
Listen, what do you think? What are you expecting the president on Monday to?
Yeah, very similar to what Dr. Peabody said. I want to give him credit for freedom of speech in Liberia. I listened to the different radio stations in the morning on my way to my different events, and actually sometimes in the evening. And all people were talking about politics, and there's pro-government radio station, anti-government radio station, and the president basically are allowing, or the government are allowing people to just have their voice. On the other hand, there are pockets of the government that do threaten people. Let's not forget that. They have told people messages that they are inciting violence if you speak against the government and all of that. But I don't know if it's coming directly from the government. I expect all of the government's shortcomings, like the things that I mentioned earlier, like issues relating to rice, issue relating to 7.5 million people, $7.5 million for the Nima people, issue relating to the 5 million, the bombing contract. I expect them to blame all of those things on COVID and also the Ukraine war. I will not be surprised if COVID or the Ukraine war is not mentioned in.
Yeah, I think Ukraine will come up on
Yes,
the rice and other thing. Yeah, I think
Yes.
that'll come up too.
Anything that they didn't accomplish, they will say, oh, the war was in the state of COVID, or we had a Ukraine war going on, so the price of gas had to go up a certain way, or the price of rice had to be, and we control the price of rice, and what have you. Let's be mindful, if we're going to talk about COVID, then we have to talk about the $75 that we're collecting at the airport, and we have to show where that $75 went for some of us who's paid twice or more. So those are the things that I expect for the president to say they expect. But my question is, I think Liberian people should keep an open mind about this. The amount of money that came in to the country in terms of way of budget, all right, did that money commensurate to the development that we see in the country? Does that money equal to the development that we see in the country in terms of sports park, in terms of the new TVET building that they say they built in Sano Kante? Does it represent those things? Or are they just giving us crumbs to eat, to keep our mouth quiet, to keep our eyes gratified, to say, okay, we are doing something? So those would be my questions. And I ask all Liberians to ask that question. Are you feeling like you're getting the money worth for the taxes that you pay, or the money that the donors are given? And you have to answer that question for yourself.
Yeah, but the president, but also too, during the COVID, we had $25 million COVID relief fund too. Yeah, that's another one that's been lingering. They were not here giving no account of that money. What happened to that money? And I think they took money from the road fund to help with salaries. I think all this stuff will come about. But like I said, we have about 15 more minutes to go. So I'll just say, is just anything on your mind that we left out that you want to just talk, just to drop in before we?
Tommy, I think you mentioned something about the people that are running in Nigeria, how they tend to be older men. I want to make this analogy here with Liberia. Liberia is a country that is way behind in development. I think we need a hands-on president, and that president can be young or old or whatever, but that president has to be able to go to the site. That person have to be able to have the faculty, the resources. They have to be able to be strong in the decision making. They can't rely on handlers to make the decision. They have to be able to actually get up, get out, and feel things. Go to ministries, go to the roads, go to buildings, go to projects. It's a daunting task to be a president of Liberia right now. I want to look at the system in Nigeria and the system so somebody can say, oh, Biden is of an older age as well. Keep in mind that the country like Nigeria and the United States, they are far ahead of Liberia. They have like, especially the United States. The United States has a system. Okay, Biden is just kind of running it. He's just an arm of the system. So are we there yet? Liberia is not there yet. Whoever Liberia need a hands-on leader. That's all I can say about the who select to be president. I just wanted to mention that.
Well, but okay, opposition. So let me ask you a question. You comfortable that if you can go to bed tomorrow on October 10, 2023, when you wake up in the morning, you'll be comfortable if any by the opposition who's running, you'll be comfortable. Anybody that wins the election, you can get up and say, well, I'm comfortable, I'm happy, I'm comfortable. You say that?
So you're asking me a very interesting question. Are you telling me if I wake up on October 11 and see if Buckeye or Cummings won, I'll be comfortable? Or Tier 1 Congress?
Opposition. So that means you are not for the president. We are. So you for the opposition. I expect. Okay. I know you're a Cummings supporter, but with that said, will you get up in the morning and will you be comfortable to say, well, once it's done, I'm comfortable whoever wins the election?
I'll be honest, and similarly, I'm sure many of our viewers know my position on this. I believe that, and I know that Mr. Alexander Cummings is the better candidate. Not that Buckeye is not a good candidate, not that Tier 1 is not a good candidate, not that the other people that are running, but I believe that Mr. Cummings is the better candidate of those candidates. So I will not be comfortable if I woke up October 11 and found that I won't be then found that he didn't win, because again, it goes back to hands-on. It goes back to experience in leadership, not just having experience in government. It goes back to decision making. When we talk about one of the most critical role of a leader, of a president, is making decision. It's not that you're doing all the work, but all of the resources. It's like people will bring all the ideas to you, and you have to spend that endless, sleepless night trying to decide what is the right thing for Liberian people. You have to have the stamina to be able to do that. You have to have a mindset and a way of thinking to be able to do that. And that mindset comes from practice in making difficult decisions. And I think that Mr. Cummings has that practice. I mean, leading a major company for a long time, leading a system for a long time, give one the experience to be able to do that. So I think you'll be hands-on. I think you'll be able to visit. You're not saying that road to go to from Broad Street to Douala. That road, not a small road. Even to go from Monrovia to Cape Mount, or to go from Ganta to Seneca, we need somebody who got hands-on, who will be able to visit the road, be on top of the people all the time. Like, people are hard to deal with too. You gotta be on top of them all the time to get any kind of work accomplished in the country. So yeah, to tell you the truth, I'll be happier if Mr. Cummings is the leader October 11th. I will, and all of us over here, I got a job. I will still go back to Liberia. I will still contribute to Liberia. It won't stop me from loving my country as a person, but I'll be happier. I think Liberia will be moving in the right direction if we have someone like Mr. Cummings win the presidency.
Yeah, but you answered my question though. I said, opposition. I mean, as I said earlier, you're a Cummings supporter. I know that, but so you won't be happy if anybody in the opposition wins because or what? You won't be happy to say, well, we didn't win. I mean, you'll be happier. I heard happier. Okay, if Cummings win, but other than Cummings, anybody else win, is Buckeye wins or Chawan, you won't be happy.
like I don't think Liberia will progress. Let me just put it this way. My honest opinion is if and for good, I guess my reason would be like, you know, Buck served in government for many, many years. And I only want to just go with one thing. Let's go look at the group of 77. People who were less fortunate, people who were physically and emotionally impaired. Money came into that office and they will tell you that, oh, they're spending money. I read an article where they said they're spending money for certain percent went to salaries and certain percent went to goods and services. Okay. But yeah, I visited the group of 77 homes. The home that they're in is deplorable. I have not heard of one plan that was instituted and I'm just taking one aspect to make those people's life better. And that's the kind of question we need to ask in this modern day. What can you or have you contributed to the people of Liberia to make me want to vote for you? Are you hands on? Are you able to get up in the morning and go visit the roads? Are you able to even travel the road from? I just had a friend that went from Monrovia to Maryland. She told me she's sick right now. That road made her sick because it was almost a very long trip. Are you able to do those kind of things? And I think Mr. Cummings would be the better candidate, and I could spend days telling you why, but we don't have that kind of time on the show.
Everybody, you muted.
I will not. I think the issue of older men, younger men leading our country. I think I'll go back to my old saying. I'll leave that with the Liberian people to decide if they want an older person or they want a younger person to lead them. Because even the younger ones sometimes to spoil other younger people's names. So other young people, So, but what I'll say here is that's a decision that for me I will leave it like Liberian people. They are the one that voting. They live there. They see the movement. They see the energy of all the candidates and know who is healthy and strong in mind and body. They see all of that. They know exactly what to do. So I'll leave that with them, to make that decision. But obviously there are some very good candidates that are contesting this election, the lack of Walker, the lack of Cummings, and Gongo and all of that, So for that, I will leave that. They can make that decision for themselves. They see it and know exactly what's going on, and they will make that. That is a choice for the Liberian people to make. May the best candidate win, the best opposition.
Thank you, everybody. As I said, I'm an independent. Y'all can tell me what the people who they want to say what I'm independent. If I come, so I'm independent. Yeah, I was an active citizen. 2014, I became active, and now I'm independent. I'm like, So, but here's the thing, though. If you are in opposition, if you're opposing the ruling establishment, I think the best thing to say, look. I mean, for me, I think if our opposition person right now in one of your shoes now, but people are independent too. So I'm not raising here. So maybe if I in her shoes, I would say, look, as in a spirit of opposition unity, my first choice is Cummings, right? You say that, but if I'll be comfortable if opposition wins because we are running against the present leadership because. I mean, if it become a binary choice, you got to make a decision on that, But like you said you will be happier, which I said that word I took from there. Yeah,
good English, there.
Yeah, good English spoke there. If your candidate win, but if you're in opposition, you can always say you side with opposition out of the time. But for me right now, I tell you this, I only tell people you should vote their conscience, vote their conscience with the dictates of their conscience. For the greater good of Liberia. If you believe Liberia for the last 6 years, Liberia you have enjoyed Liberia, you think Liberia is on the right direction. As I said earlier, you have a re-elected president. We are. If not, we have a new elected president. But the election, and before I make any major prediction, I want to see the tickets of the other candidates. when I see the tickets, then I will say, well, maybe if the ticket is not if the ticket is not looking attractive, I think I'll tell you I'll be upfront with you guys. But Liberian people will have to make their high choice. All of us who will be taking part in elections, making the vote, because our future is at stake. It'll be one of the most consequential elections in our country's history, and as I predict, will be a huge turnout, and people will come out in droves. People are already planning to take the income tax. Income tax that went. It started yesterday, right? It started filing yesterday. Yeah. So
I don't know.
people filing stuff. It got up to and it will in that span of the voter registration process. So people will
Yeah,
file the income tax.
right. And that
It will
April got
go.
the
Yeah,
deadline.
April 15th, the deadline. So it will start filing. I know it got started yesterday. So it will start filing now. They will go home and register to vote and go back. Maybe save the vacation time. Because this year everybody will be very conservative with their vacation time.
That's why the embassy then closing down already.
So you see, embassy closing now already. So I want to register. So you gonna register to vote, then take that time to go Liberia to vote, to go and take part in the process, campaign, and come back. If there's a runoff, whether you think you say I gotta stay for a runoff again and another 2 weeks to see what happens. But we pray for the best for our country. But before we end the show today, today's the birthday of our CEO's wife.
Yeah.
Says Lao Gamen Lao Witherspoon, and that's why he's not here. And I think he'll be out of here for a long time, because he got other plans. So I want to say happy birthday. But I just want you guys to go around the table and give your greetings to Sis Lao, and our birthday.
Yeah, I want to start by just saying happy birthday to you, Lao. We are very grateful to you for allowing your family to spend the money on making a change in Liberia. So I hope that you enjoy your time. Keep your husband away to enjoy the time, because I know he's itching to be here today. So happy birthday to you.
Yeah, happy birthday, Lowell. I've known Lowell for many years, and very easygoing, nice woman, soft speaking lady, great woman. And I just want to thank God for adding another year to her life. You've been a great, and my prayer that you will continue to grow, God adding many, many more years to your life. But thank you for allowing Stanton to do what he's doing, helping folks in Liberia and making sure that people get the news and what happening, information in a different way. We just want to thank you. You've been a wonderful person, and I've just been honored. It's been an honor for me to know you. May God continue to bless you and bless your family. I wish you all the best. Happy birthday.
Yeah, Sis Lao, happy birthday. One thing I would say about you, like other people, they will be involved in the husband work and so forth. But one thing I credit you for, you're not the person who to say you're involved in our spoon talk. Whatever we do on spoon talk, I mean, we go at each other. Now one day you interfere to say, well, I have a problem, or you don't even comment on you don't even take part in our discussion. You not in our chat room. You're not. I mean, you're just different, and you quiet. When you see any one of us, you welcome us to your home. We see you, you embrace us, and you're just not the person who to say, oh, what the person say, or no, you never one day, But which I want to admire you for that, and but on your birthday, wish you happy birthday. Happy that at least Santa is with you today. Yeah, he won't be here, but he will not come. And we told him you're not going to come here. You'll be over there. You'll stay there. I know you're watching, but brother, have fun. Today is your wife's birthday. You spend the day with her. Enjoy it for the whole week. In fact, we already gave you the whole week off. We're giving the whole week off for the rest of the week. So we will not see you here for the whole week. So we gave you the week off. We can take the week off. We'll take care of everything here. Peabody, Kev, the Richardson, we rotate the hosting of the program. But enjoy your birthday, Lao. Enjoy your day. Stay well. Be blessed. And people asking about Kev. Kev took the day off, people. Kev took day off. Kev, Kev, Kev took the day off, but don't forget he's in the background. He's been hitting us high in the chat room as if he's on the show, but he took the day off. In fact, he's saying the stuff. Oh, they're laughing, but he took the day off today, and we'll see him tomorrow. And I'm sure during the course of the week too. He hosts one of the programs too, I'm sure. But it's a tough year we're in, election year. I repeat, on this show, Kev got his side, it's CDC and we are, and the racing that ANC and CPP and Cummings, Peabody, independent, Tomoni independent, stand on independent. Y'all can go and fight with the transformer, telling you who we are. I ain't get no sign in this thing. I try to be consistent and objective, and I will continue to do, But that's how it is, But on a side note, I just want to say this weekend I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina for my childhood friend and brother's father's funeral, Mr. Jura Kroman. It will be buried at it will be held at St. Paul's Episcopal Church, Union Street in Cary, North Carolina. My condolences to the family of the Kroman, of Ahmed and his family, and wishing you guys all the best. I will be with you guys this weekend. And Chairman Ben, our board. Chairman Ben is still with us. Ben is personally on a special duty, and Ben also, what is this? Help me read in the chat room, guys. What he said?
Yeah, he want to wish
yeah.
Mrs. Witherspoon Lowell.
Chairman Ben Sevi also wish Mrs. Witherspoon happy birthday too, and wishing her the best from all of us at Spoon Talk, and including Chairman Ben Sevi. Kev Hassan also wish you happy birthday too, and all of us, including the guys at the station in Monrovia and so forth, and our viewers and all, our thousands of viewers are also wishing you happy birthday, Lowell, and wishing you the best. So, guys, give your closing statement so we can take leave.
It was a wonderful show. I enjoyed the interaction between the panelists. I think we respectfully agreed and disagreed with each other. We started off with the Prince Johnson topic and trying to explore his strength in the Liberia's body politic right now. So we give different views on that. I think we did have a conversation about the selection of vice president. And in the end, I want to say that I stand by what I stand. I believe that Mr. Cummings is the better candidate for Liberia. I've worked in systems for a very long time. I know what it is to make some very tough decisions. And Liberia is at the crossroad where tough decisions need to be made about our infrastructure. We are so behind. Decision needs to be made about investors coming to the country. Decisions need to be like, how do you attract investors in the country? Our agriculture sector, decisions to be made about that. Our healthcare, studying and knowing the major diseases that kill Liberians and how can you prevent Liberians from dying. Decisions, got to be made about schools, education. It's not an easy job. It needs someone who has the stamina, the love for the country, the ability to be able to concentrate, not just having handlers around you telling you what to do, how to make critical decisions. I've been in that position. I know that. I own a business, and I also served as a professor for almost 20 years. I know what it is to sit at the table and make a decision about how we're going to, improve our buildings, what subjects that we got to delete from the curriculum, and what subjects we have to add, things that will impact lives, of people in their career for a very long time. And I've been around Mr. Cummings. I know that he can. And so my view about who is the better candidate and what will make me happier October 11 is my view, and I stand by that.
Thank you. Peabody?
Great show. And we're looking forward to hear the president's speech next week. That will be a great speech to listen to. It's a great show. But let me say here, it's in your hands, man. Liberian people, it's in your hands. Be careful. Listen to that speech. Be able to deduce on what he say and whether you go by it or not, whether you are feeling those things that he's talking about. It's in your hands, and I'm looking forward to see. I mean, going to be a really challenging speech for the president to lay the Liberian people what he done over the last 5 years. Well, he done some things though. I must say that I respect, admire them. He did some great things, and but how much impact did it have on the Liberian people? But it was a great show once again. Which Mr. and Mrs. Weatherspoon, a blessed happy birthday, and also I'd like to congratulate 63 Liberian students graduated today with master degree from Cyprus. And I want to applaud them.
Northeast University, yeah.
Very honored to help make a contribution to the association last year, the Liberian Association there. But want to wish them all the best and wish them, hope there will be opportunity out there for them. I think they did a great job, and I think Liberia and is proud of them. Chairman Ben is still out of the country. We wish him all the best. He has to prepare to come back. He's been very busy traveling around West Africa and meeting different world leaders and having conversations. So we look forward to see him come back to the country. So wish you all the best, Chairman Ben.
And talking about that, we have the first ever in the history of Liberia, the first presidential youth advisor, the youngest cabinet minister ever in our country's history, and the youngest chairman of a political party in our history, the Honorable Chairman Benjamin Big Boss Sembi. You want to send happy birthday greetings to Lao. Chairman Sembi.
You just wanted people to start dealing with me. They were my name resting for the last couple of days. But I didn't want a day to go by without saying happy birthday to our sister Lao, who has been a strong supporter and a strong pillar of all of us. I felt it was important to call in. Got back to Monrovia sometimes yesterday evening. So tomorrow I expect, hopefully I will see if I can find some time. Hopefully I should be able to come and join you guys tomorrow. We'll go in the studio. I will go and visit with Titi then. I should be paying some courtesy calls tomorrow on some political leaders. They consult the tour continues. I believe Mr. Cummings should be back in the country, so we're looking forward to engaging with him. I believe I'm going to have some time to talk to His Excellency the President. I think it's important that we keep these communications open. We are stakeholders; they want to hear from us, so we're going to be actively engaged. But it's I miss you guys. I try to catch the show as much as possible as I can. I know people are asking when am I going to be returning. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to stand on to announce my entire itinerary. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to rejoining the squad and allowing us to do what we do best. I will say though, there's a lot of moving parts here. And it's going to be interesting. I can tell you that it is going to be very interesting in 2023. So yeah, I just wanted to call in to say happy birthday to our sister Lao, and I'm glad that you guys were able to get Stanton to take mandatory leave. I agree. I think we should put our foot down. He shouldn't come back at least for the next week or so. Maybe we should estimate 2 weeks so he can stop causing trouble. But guys, is great, man. Thank you. I just wanted to say happy birthday to our sister and to say you guys thank you for holding it down. Dr. Richardson, thank you again. I see where is Kev. I think Kev is supposed to be out too. I've been trying to find where he is.
Kev took Kev using some of his sick days today. He took days off.
He's behind the back. He had the back. Don't mind him. He had the back.
Kev is.
But guys, thank you, Tommy, thank you, and I'm sure we'll talk offline. But yeah, it's good to hear you guys. Yes.
Okay, thank you,
man. Good talking to you, brother. All right.
Okay, man. James, good day and
good job, Tommy. Good job, moderating.
Aaron, what the guys? What the guys? Okay, Nelson. Yeah. I'm sorry, Nelson. Sorry, man. Nelson, I will see you soon. I know I will see you soon, so I will get to meet you. Yeah. Bro, you're not with Spoon at the time, right?
No, I was here.
Oh, so we met?
Yeah, at Boulevard during the get together.
The appreciation, you were there too, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. Find a friend like me. Oh yeah, enjoy that. Nice. Yeah, but guys, thanks, man. A good show, and look forward to having another show tomorrow. But thanks to our viewers too. My son, Auntie President Valentine. I see you. Thank you. Happy. Good to see you. But anyway, guys, nice show. Thank you, man, guys.
Hey, Precious, how you doing? I'll see you guys. Have a good show tomorrow. I'm not here. I'm in class.
Thank you, man.
All right, that reason. We'll see you on Thursday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Blessing.
Okay, guys.
Hold it down, guys. Good to see you, Nelson.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, yes, folks. We want to say thanks a lot to all of you out there for being a part of this edition of the program Spoon Talk. Thanks to all of you who made their contributions in the comment section. Thanks to those of you who just sat by watching, maybe through Spoon TV Live, Fabric TV Live, Spoon Talk Live on YouTube. Maybe you were watching the Super TV Live. The program has been live on Spoon 107.5 FM and Fabric 101.1 FM as well. So my name is Nelson Colette. I've been producing here alongside James Goode Flomo. So this is how I would like to draw down the curtains. Have for yourselves a good night. The invitation is yours to join us tomorrow, same time, for another edition of the program Spoon Talk. Until that time, bye-bye. You from Fonjama, Maryland to Spoon. Yeah, to Spoon.